Split Sides published this hypnotically creepy video, Olho da Água River in Bonito, Brazil. In February of 2018, the area had experienced heavy rain, submerging the jungle and allowing for these beautiful and somewhat unnerving views of a mysterious underwater forest. You can see tree stumps, branches, and bridges submerged. According to the video, flooding at this level has happened at least 3 times within the last 16 years. By the day's end, the water receded to a normal level, but it does make you wish you could experience something like this. There's something very beautiful and still about the mysterious atmosphere the flood creates. If you hear something at 3 a.m., pretend like you didn't. Otherwise, this could be the end result.
I hear something. Hold on.
It looks like an animal outside at first, but it clearly isn't. I think it might be a skinwalker feasting on this person's pets. Is that what skinwalkers do? Better hold your pet close tonight. A haunting. Have you seen the horror movie A Savannah Haunting? Kalani Ghost Hunter stayed inside the home that this horror film is based on and was filmed in. Check the place out. While live streaming their stay, the Instagrammer captured this image, which they think is a little girl ghost. Do you see it? Although I didn't catch the live stream, some in the comments did, and they insist they saw the ghost girl move. Almost everyone in the comments sees it, but I can hardly make it out. Still, I don't doubt this place is haunted. It looks like the real deal. Number 20. Maddie and Elijah are ghost hunting with a guide named Eric in an old asylum that has over 80 rooms of horror to investigate. Let's talk about this door. They think somebody scratched at it for hours, and I think that's what it looks like, but I seriously hope it's termites. To support their theory, these scratches at 10 minutes and 55 seconds do look like someone took their nails to the wall, as well in a fit of madness. Later, they hear this distant moan. I definitely think this sounds like a person, but let me know if you can think of some other explanation.
So that's it.
What the f? Did you hear that?
No.
So that's creepy, but what I want to talk about more than anything is what happens after Elijah makes the mistake of holding a haunted bridal doll. This crazy noise is the spirit's response to being asked what her name is. It sounds wicked and definitely like nothing I'd want to be in the same room as. Even Eric admits he has never heard such a harsh EVP come from that doll before in all his experience as a tour guide, and he also says nobody has ever touched her before, so I think it's real. And as further proof, look what happens when the doll is asked if she's upset about being touched.
Are you mad that Elijah came in and touched the bride?
Judging by this paranormal ripple effect of negative energy caught on camera, I'd say yes, she was. Mysterious, unexplained lights were recently sighted over Brazil, just north of Rio de Janeiro. The diagonal formation of strange lights stretches into the night sky and blinks in and out of sight. It's not a constellation because there are no stars in the sky, just these strange, unexplained lights that slowly move to the right and glow a fierce red when the camera zooms in. As the camera moves across the city to show there are no stars, they see more strange lights in the sky. These ones closer to Earth, a large column of lights at 56 seconds that should not be there at all. It looks like it could be a building, but according to them it's not. More lights seem to drop and lower to the ground, but it's too far away to tell. When he zooms out, he is surprised to find most of the skylights are already gone. This happened on June 24th of 2020, and if you're wondering why I was never reported on the news, maybe it's because we were never supposed to find out. Ali H claims to have bought this mystery box for $1,000. The bottom of the box is covered with paper towels so he can't see what's underneath. He absent-mindedly reaches straight into the box without a second thought, a decision he soon regrets.
But something literally just, what the pricked me? Guys, I think I just screwed up.
Ali H is pricked by a strange needle that's tangled in tufts of foreign hair. The rest of the items appear to be weird chemicals that Ali H can't identify. By the end of the video, his finger is throbbing and he knows he needs medical attention quick.
I'm literally going to the hospital with this whole package, and I'm gonna just tell them what happened, and I'm just gonna be straight up with them. But look at this.
I didn't see any actual liquids inside of the syringe, which is good, but I guess there could still be some sort of contagion on the tip of the needle itself. I was thinking he should have washed his hands immediately, but be sure to let me know if there are some extra steps Ali H could have taken to save his health. Ali H made this video in August of 2018, and at the moment, no update has been provided. This old VHS tape from 1999 could have captured a ghost, but I need your help to tell if it's true.
If you look to the right of the two tombstones, you can clearly see a figure standing there dressed in white.
I definitely see the ghost in question, especially when you zoom in. There's actually a surprising amount of detail, and I can even make out the buttons on their shirt and possibly a long musket. At the same time, I have some other possible explanations as to what this could be. This could be the open space between two trees, in which case the vivid details are nothing more than a random arrangement of branches. This could also be a cemetery statue from afar. This was taken way before high definition, so it's hard to tell for certain, but I'd still like to get your thoughts. Cat friend. Does Redditor Shailanshna's cat have a ghostly nighttime friend? Security camera footage captured this mysterious figure in the upper left corner of the camera. My first thought is a spider leg or something on the lens, but the Redditor says they immediately checked and there were no bugs in sight. What do you make of this? Is the cat cursed, as some are suggesting in the comments? If it's not a bug, I have no clue what it could be. Number 20. Have you ever got the feeling that you're being followed? Poppy's Paradise posted this footage to Reddit writing, "Something is following me." The guy in the clip says he was driving when he noticed something outside in the darkness. He stopped his car on the side of the road to film whatever it is, and he shouts a greeting to the figure outside the window.
There's something up here. Hello?
As he drives slowly past, the something that he saw following him comes into view. The figure looks like a girl straight out of The Ring, dressed in white with long black hair. The ghastly creature is seen only for a moment before the clip ends. Is this thing truly following him? We can only hope this was his only sighting. You would need serious courage to stay calm in a situation like this. Jack Cook's son Michael has been acting strange for days, not like himself at all. He is normally a happy child, but he is visibly agitated during his birthday and seems to channel all of his anger into a single act of defiance when it comes time to blow out the candles.
Day to you. Michael, make a wish. Cheer up, big guy. Cheer up.
His father can't believe what he just witnessed and orders his son to do it again. Sure enough, Michael somehow is controlling the flames with his mind. The obvious answer is somebody is blowing out the candles off camera, but I don't hear anything. Watch the father's explanation and tell me if you think his emotions are real or simply good acting skills.
It's been a week now since Michael went into the hospital. And doctors don't know what's wrong with him.
The Hinsdale house in New York is haunted, and these paranormal explorers are about to find out just how haunted it truly is. Early on, the spirits don't seem to want to be recorded.
It's funny here.
The REM pod upstairs starts going off.
Is that your REM upstairs?
Shh. Yeah, I turned it on. It's up in Laura's doorway.
Well, can you hear it?
It was beeping.
It was, it's going off again up there.
After hearing a woman talking in the kitchen, the REM pod is triggered again.
Are you here with us right now?
You wanna?
So, I think she said, ask me or ask me.
The crew is then given a clear message via a spirit box.
I'm gonna take a couple pictures. That's not
What did that say?
Run.
Run.
Great.
When they don't leave, the spirits continue to interact. They even ask for help.
Can you light it up again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Is this what the dandies had to deal with on the regular? No wonder they fled this house. A man from an unknown country is checking an old apartment when he is confronted by the spirit of its former inhabitants. First, something whispers behind him in another language, possibly Arabic, followed by movement. Then they slam the door he just walked through and raise the lock in midair, something that a person would not be able to do just from banging really hard on the other side. Orbs are going crazy, although it is pretty dusty in here. Anyway, pay attention to this side of the room. No one is here, yet in moments a paw flies from this direction, and when he turns around you can see the room is completely empty. Phantom figures crouch low behind doorways and promptly disappear, and when he hears these running footsteps overhead, he knows it's time to leave fast. They sound heavy and are heading straight his way. Come Out and Play, posted in January of 2014. This poltergeist knows how to have fun. A group of friends are hanging out along a city river at night. As the cameraman scans the area, one of the girls spots it first, a swing swaying back and forth rather forcefully on its own. The night is still, the wind's barely moving the leaves in the trees, and yet this swing is moving with energy. As Lex Cotton writes in the comments, the thing is moving too fast to be pulled by strings or the wind. Who then is moving it? And do you want to play? I sure wouldn't, because it looks like this is the work of a nefarious ghost. Redditor asserted skirted motion-activated cameras detected motion in the middle of the night, but it isn't something I've ever seen before. Keep an eye on the bottom of the garage door. Here it is again, more slowly. Something appears to slip beneath the garage door, but it looks like a shadow. My guess would be that this is an unknown shadow entity. The way the shadow reaches out is even tentacle-like. What do you think it is? While investigating the Ancients Ram Inn, YouTuber After Dark Paranormal captured what they believe is paranormal activity. Watch the creepy doll sitting atop the Ouija board.
Is it our Ouija board you like? Or is it the doll? Or is it one of us?
The doll appears to answer dramatically. The sensory device starts flashing at the same time the doll starts to fall. Although this could be paranormal activity, the doll appears to me to be sitting precariously on the board. The tumble it takes looks like it could have been natural. The team says they tried to replicate it but couldn't. They spent over an hour trying to do so, including kicking and pushing the solid oak barrel, so I'm on the fence with this one. What do you think? The uploader of this video says that this sighting happened on the Barbados Islands sometime in 2017. A huge humanoid is stomping off in the horizon, its footsteps echoing throughout the tropical night scenery. The creature appears to have 4 long limbs and a gigantic bushy upper body that is completely covered in some kind of fur or else some kind of plant growth, possibly leaves or mold. It lets out a huge bellowing roar as it makes its way across the island. In the unlikely case this is not CGI, then what you are witnessing is definitely a modern day giant or some sort, though its true origins may never be fully understood. A man is cooking in his kitchen when a black mist appears behind him. Look for it on the left side of your screen. The man has his back turned and does not seem to notice what's going on behind him. What's especially strange is how the black mist starts to back away from the door when the man heads into the other room. Once the homeowner is safely out of view, the mist turns very dark and quickly darts in front of the doorway. No clear explanation has ever been provided, though I'd like to hear yours. Whatever the thing is, it's never been recorded again since. Timothy Bartlett is exploring a water park that's haunted by a former guest named Billy.
Hi, is anybody here? Hi, Billy. I'm here.
Things are about to get real creepy real fast. Watch.
Could you move something again for me?
A chair moves on its own accord upon Timothy's request for Billy the Ghost to move an object and prove himself to be real. Paranormal activity is possible, but the low quality resolution could easily hide a string if there was one. This was not done on purpose as the resolution is average quality for a 2012 phone camera video, so maybe it's real. This video was taken at night in a parking garage somewhere in West India. A woman was apparently acting normal until she was suddenly attacked by what some bystanders later described as a ghost. Watch this part and tell me if you think she is having delusions or fighting off a spiritual possession. Try to translate if possible too, please. I did not think much of this video until I noticed what could be a strange paranormal disturbance. Some kind of fast-moving white objects repeatedly appeared during the harshest times of her struggle, like here for instance. Poor camera quality makes it hard to tell if these are some kind of spirit orbs or just insects. If these are insects and nothing more, I find it weird that there are only just a few of them, and how they only seem to appear during key moments of the video when she is in the most distress. For the love of all that is holy, look out behind you. Posted to TikTok by Haunting Facts, this TikToker is dancing in a parking garage and doesn't seem to realize that something is watching. And not only watching, it's coming closer. Watch closely as the TikToker performs her choreography. After moving to the right, a figure is seen creeping up behind her. He is so close that he could reach out and touch her. The figure looks like a man with his back facing the girl. Unaware, she jumps to the left, and the figure is again blocked from view. This man went unseen earlier in the clip. You don't see him approach, even though the girl starts dancing further back from the camera. Where did this guy come from? Did he just materialize out of thin air? And what does he want? Some TikTokers say he's obviously Batman, while others are having trouble seeing the figure at all. But Sydney's having no trouble. She writes, "Bro, I saw it and it actually gave me a little heart attack. Sounds like Sydney might need a break from the scary videos." A while back, we analyzed a scary video posted by this individual, and it seems like his house hasn't gotten any less haunted since then. If anything, the paranormal activity has moved on to his daughter. Let's try to make sense of this scary CCTV footage. Something rolls the ball at her. She rolls the ball back and it stops abruptly like somebody caught it. Please tell me it is a remote control ball, because otherwise it looks like their child has attracted a paranormal pal. Or maybe, as unlikely as it sounds, she is manipulating the object somehow. I don't know what this is, but it's really bizarre and I can't stop thinking about it. There's a Redditor who's been posting clips of their encounters with the paranormal to my subreddit for over a year now. They go by Paranormal Gems, and I thought we could watch some of their most popular submissions. There's certainly plenty to choose from. This one is titled, "Confederate Ghost Caught on Camera While Hiking on Pilot Mountain, North Carolina."
That's not one. That one's poisonous.
Is it really?
That one.
Oh, there's more than one of them, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
This one is titled, "Seems our Lego ghost likes playing with my granddaughter's desk. Notice if you slow it down, the orbs fly from and to the Connect image." This one is titled, "The ghost in our house is always moving my Lego collection around. I caught this with my cell phone. Watch under the glass coffee table and under the Ziploc baggie next to the Legos. Something reaches out several times and touched the toys. I'm a little freaked." This one is titled, "My EMF starts going off, so I point my phone in the direction. Happens often." This one is titled, "I came home and my cellar door was wide open. I always keep it closed, so I thought someone was in my cellar, but I was too afraid to go in and look, so I used my camera to try and see into the dark. I slowed the video. That is not a moth you see at first. Keep watching and zoom in." That was just 5 of their most popular submissions. There's still many other paranormal encounters they've posted as well. What do you think is going on here? Are spirits just attaching themselves to paranormal gems? Or do you think there is another explanation here? Let me know in the comments. If you've ever had an attic, then you know what it's like to hear any kind of sound emanating from above. Absolutely freaking terrifying. YouTuber Sean Wells 2001 seems to agree, as he decided to investigate the rattling in his attic, which he says only happens at night. Sean writes, "Steven, my roommate, says it's the wind because I leave my windows cracked at night for fresh air, but not sure if it's the wind." Sean set up his camera in his closet atop a pile of jeans to catch the rattling while he slept. This is what happened. At around 4 a.m., the attic door starts rattling jarringly. It sounds like someone is trying to get out. You can actually see the door move aggressively and repeatedly. A while later, it happens again, and Sean notes that you can hear his dog whining in the background. Many in the comments think the source of the noise has got to be paranormal. Others consider that it might be a squatter trying to mess with the homeowners. Though different theories abound, most can agree on one thing: it's not the wind. A YouTuber named RFam is doing a gym vlog when their punching bag begins moving on its own. Slowly at first, but gaining momentum over time. So even if she pushed it herself, it should slow down over time and eventually settle down. But that's not what happens at all. She dances for almost 10 minutes and the punching bag sways back and forth the entire time. What I can't understand is how she dances so close and doesn't notice the whole time. I guess she must have really been into her routine. There's no strings attached to the piece of equipment, and aside from this explanation, I can't think of any other way she could have faked it. This medicine ball also starts moving in the exact same way with no one touching it, at least no one that I can see, and no shadows on the wall to indicate someone off camera. Again, I can't believe she walks right by, but I suppose she simply feels comfortable at home and isn't exactly looking for anything out of the ordinary. This team is exploring the ranch of an alleged skinwalker. Published by KBC Cazadores de Fantasmas in April of 2022, the cameraman is quick to sense something lurking around them in the wilderness.
Ei, ei, ei! Vocês escutaram? Uma voz.
As they move on, they again sense something. Further along, they think they hear a sound and start to rush forward.
Meu Deus.
Still finding nothing, at last, they arrive at these abandoned ruins. While inside the ruins, they hear a noise again outside. Later, back out in the wilderness, their EMF meter is triggered. Whose energy are they sensing here?
Para o Perdaio?
Credo, mano.
Quem que é você que chegou aqui perto?
Atrás de mim agora.
Beleza, foca aí, foca aí, foca aí.
Again, someone or something is in the vicinity. Is it the skinwalker? As day turns to night, paranoia kicks in. The legendary creature might be skulking anywhere in this forest. Should this team stick around to find out? I would have already been gone.
Fica junto, gente. Fica junto mesmo. Pega o Lucílio, pega o Lucílio, pega o Lucílio. João, tá andando aí na frente, ó.
This family claims that no matter what kind of baby monitor they have or what frequency they change it to, this haunting melody always finds its way to their child's ears. They even claim that this song has played on baby monitors without the batteries in, though I find that hard to believe. This is purportedly the most haunted house in Guadalajara, Mexico. YouTuber Ricky Velasquez dares to enter, but he will soon regret it. As he tours the place, he spots this.
Una noche loca. Las personas que estuvieron en esa transmisión. Perro, ¿qué es eso? No mames.
Did you see that figure? As he continues throughout the home, it seems to be stalking him.
Oye, ¿quién eres? Da la vida.
Wherever he goes, it follows.
Pues muéstrate, no seas cobarde. Muéstrate, muéstrate, muéstrate. A la bestia, no mames. No, tranquilo.
Is someone there? Ricky keeps hearing noises, like someone is just out of sight.
¿Ha entrado sobre esto? No, no manches. ¿Qué fue eso?
After hearing humming during a spirit box session, things get wild.
No, 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 no. Whoa. No, 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 no.
I think this home is definitely haunted, but by what? I'm not so sure. Not every old creepy basement is dark and haunted, but some are. And this one certainly could be. Going down there gets scarier every time, because paranormal activity is always on the rise. The creepy things down here always start with a ghost slamming the door.
Who's there?
At 41 seconds, he gets his reply in the form of a bizarre twisted figure. Caught on camera at 41 seconds, a physical manifestation of the ghost in the basement which he so fears. It seems to be bound tight in a cloak, and I can just barely make out two white eyes. The ghostly presence is caught on video but not in real life. And so our timid investigator keeps exploring the haunted place. Not for long though. His mission will be abandoned shortly. He is about to flee.
Why is the ball moving?
He questions aloud what his eyes are seeing. As a ball is caught moving by itself, or more accurately, like a ghost has pushed it. This could easily be done with the pull of a string, but that still doesn't explain the ghost sighting caught on tape earlier. This creepy customer is dressed as the Joker in the middle of May. It looks like he is asking for directions or something, maybe for a bathroom, because the lady keeps pointing to somewhere else in the store. The fictional Joker would never waste his time on such a small score, but this one waits until her back is turned and makes a grab for the tip jar on the counter, which looks full. She comes back at the last second, and he just politely smiles to throw off any suspicions. When she leaves again, he looks around nervously at everywhere but the camera as he shoves the tip jar in his pocket and quickly ducks out. History is bound to affect the aura of some places. Particularly history as chilling as Lemp Mansions. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Baked Potato, the Redditor writes, "This video was taken off my friend's old phone when she visited the Lemp Mansion years ago. Before we analyze the clip, you'll need to know a little background on Lemp Mansion. The historical house in St. Louis, Missouri was the home of the Lemp family in the early 20th century. 3 of the Lemps would go on to take their own lives in the family home. The only surviving Lemp was Edwin, who lived until the age of 90. He did not live in the Lemp family home, however. He moved to his own estate later on. Needless to say, with all these horrific and sad occurrings in Lemp Mansion, some believe it's haunted by spirits. It's now a restaurant and inn that offers haunted and historical tours, and also hosts Halloween parties and dinner theater. Perhaps it was at one of these events that a Redditor's friend caught this frightening footage. As the friend wanders around the mansion in the short clip, you can see odd moving shapes throughout, but the scariest appears at the end. A dark figure lurks in the bright light of the window, materializing out of thin air. It then disappears when the camera pans back around again. According to the Redditor, his friend didn't see the figure at the time. Redditor Fluffy Socks writes, "If you slow it down and look frame by frame, you'll see he's sitting there looking out the window. Gives me a pretty weird feeling, TBH. Do you have that feeling too? I certainly do." A YouTuber named Miguel Alvarez is racing down the road at high speeds for a very good reason. He catches up to a red car and immediately gets the driver's attention.
Hey! It's on fire!
It's on fire!
The flames quickly crawl up the vehicle and soon reach the engine. What you see here is the end result just before firefighters arrived and contained the blaze. It looks bad, but things could have been way worse. The woman could have still been inside of this vehicle, if not for the heroic actions of Miguel Alvarez and his friends. A light at the far end of a room is swinging by itself when all of the other lights are as still as can be. Now, before you tell me that it's under a vent, let me show you the same room from a different angle. Look all the way to the ceiling where the fluorescent light is grounded. No vents anywhere. So what's the deal here? Am I missing something major? Or is this light swinging on its own momentum when there's nothing to make it move? A man makes his way down the street without any clue as to the danger that's about to come straight his way. Everything looks as ordinary as possible. Just another day on Stoke Newington High Street in London. There's no possible way you can predict what's going to happen next in this video. It's way too random. So even if you can tell me what direction the thread is about to come from, then I will be satisfied. He makes it past this cafe at 10 seconds, and literally 1 second later the entire roof comes tumbling down in a choking cloud of dust and jagged debris. Bricks litter the street just a few steps from where he just was. If he had done anything besides walk on by, like tying his shoes or looking in the window, then he would have been struck down on the spot with no hope of surviving. I mean, it really couldn't get any closer. The heel of his foot is literally still in the shot as the bricks begin to tumble. Only a psychic could have ever guessed the way this video ends. Look out the window between the blinds to see what Laurie Smith claims she sees every night. The fearsome cryptid known only as the Dog Man. Laurie's fearless cat always looks out the window when it comes around, ready to take the Dog Man head on, unafraid to stare back into its glowing yellow eyes.
They're out there.
Alright, I will admit that I was 100% ready to disprove this video. I knew that this was just the mirror image of the cat's eyes reflecting back due to a weird camera angle. But then I got to this part at 1 minute and 55 seconds and knew I was wrong. Watch very closely. She gets the cat's attention. The cat's head turns.
Come here, Kiki girl.
1 second later, at 1 minute and 56 seconds, the cat is looking the other way, and yet the eye remains staring straight ahead. There's a YouTuber named Anonymous Web who's developed a scary habit, the need to buy scary things off of the deep web. His channel has only been around for a few months, and already he's gotten himself into more trouble than he was expecting, but more on that in a second. First, let's go over some of his most recent buys. On March 7th, 2020, a deep web package arrives after a 3-week wait. Anonymous Web had already given up hope that he would ever get it, and figured he had been ripped off. Seeing it in person fills him with unexplainable dread before he even opens it because he had ordered it from a website about witchcraft and demonology. Inside is a colorful doll with a dark message. Pins are stuck in its feet, face, and forehead. A yellow page appears to be instructions to do some sort of ritual. Here are the steps. First, he sprinkles some kind of black ash around the doll in a circle. Tell me if this looks like someone's cremated remains. Next, he puts the candles on both sides of the doll. The lighter that came in the box doesn't work, so he gets up to find another one. And at 17 minutes and 35 seconds, something happens. The doll appears to move ever so slightly. If this was someone's remains, then maybe he transferred their life into the doll. Anonymous Web doesn't think much of it until he gets another potentially possessed dark web doll on May 16th, 2020. He buys the box from the same person, which doesn't make sense if he thinks the first one didn't work, but maybe he saw the part where it moved and bought one more. The doll has a male symbol on its forehead, to the right of which is a triangle, perhaps an all-seeing pyramid eye, with black spikes pushed through. Holes are drilled in the mouth to form a wicked smile. A burnt letter is soaked in something. It reads, "In night I seek, in dark I breathe, and if you say its name twice, the curse is said to end your life." Its name is Ken Ken. You're only supposed to say it twice, but Anonymous Web says it 3 times just to be sure.
Ken, Ken. 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 Ken.
A big mistake he later regrets. It looks like he uses one of the candles to set the doll's dress aflame. You can hear him pick up a candle and slam it down really fast. But look again, there's no candle where his free hand is. He even puts paper down where the candle would theoretically have to be. There are only 2 candles within reach, these 2, and he clearly doesn't touch either of them when the doll goes up in flames. The reason why I've shown you these 2 videos is to better explain the third. On June 2nd, 2020, exactly 13 days after releasing the curse of the previous doll, something began rummaging around his bedroom from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. It starts around his dresser. Then it moves to the far wall. After pulling on the doorknob with all its strength, it sounds exhausted afterwards and can't get free. After a long time, it returns to stomp across the room. And later that night, it gets out. So this would be terrifying if it was real, but I'm not sure if it's fake. I think he could have been standing behind the dresser and pushed the flowers over himself. Likewise, he could have reached around and opened the drawers himself. The footsteps and exhale would have been his own. He could have touched the bed himself off camera to make it squeak, but I don't know how he moved the picture. That's really strange. And then there's the very end when he comes back into the room and sees his room is messed up.
Yeah, f*** you.
Someone could have shut off the camera from the bottom, but at 2 minutes and 7 seconds you can see the entire doorway immediately after it happens, and no one is there. Chworm. You've probably caught a fish with a worm before, but have you ever caught a worm with a fish? TikToker Tightlines AUS shares this creepy video of a terrifying creature called a beach worm. Take a look. No, 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 no. New fear unlocked. Many in the comments are horrified by this thing. Personally, I'm never going to the beach again. Number 4. Jordan Powers sees something in the sky, and all his mom can do is get mad at him for it.
What are you looking at?
She doesn't see anything and thinks that he has lost his mind, but we can see them just fine. Mysterious lights, 5 of them, all flying in a strange formation. Jordan describes these unexplained lights as silver in color, and months later still has no idea what they were. It happened in Kelowna, a city in the Canadian province of British Columbia. Somebody from Virginia says they've seen the same lights and describes them as hiding in the clouds. I'll admit this short 13-second video is not a lot to go on, but what little evidence there is does look unedited and quite bizarre. Hopefully I can find a longer video taken by somebody else on the same day to confirm this sighting is real. A YouTuber named Seg goes into the woods and finds an old rotten house. He and his friends feel something watching them nearby and they both run away. As they are checking out the raw video a few minutes later to see what it was, this strange orange circle pays them a visit and hangs around the corner of the shot.
Mate, did I get it? Alright, would you go watch your footage back?
To be perfectly honest, this looks like it is almost definitely the cameraman's thumb, but Seix says the orange light is way too bright to be anything but the supernatural. He says that this is the only source of light, and therefore something behind the light should not be brighter than everything else in the shot. I'm not sure if I buy this theory, so I wanted to run it by you. Is this a ghostly presence or a ghost investigator's thumb? The next time you look into your baby monitor, you might find an unnerving guardian angel. That's what happened to a friend of XXBlazinXX who posted this clip to the Chills Narrator subreddit. The Redditor writes in the comments, "A friend of mine had recently put her child to bed, and she has gone through every single thought of how to justify this figure, but it looks like a little child walking in and around the crib. By the time log on the baby monitor, you can see it's around 9:40 p.m. and if you look closely, you'll catch a ghost white shadow figure walk around the back of the crib as the baby sleeps on. The figure creeps around one side of the crib before pacing back to the head of the crib and coming slightly around the other side. Then it moves back. At the end of the clip, it appears most visible, leaving its sential spot, probably in order to make itself a sandwich. What was this phantom caretaker doing? Do you think it's a friendly guardian, or does the babysitter have evil intent? Whatever the case, safeguard that baby. It's better to be safe than sorry." Is this a goblin? An extraterrestrial? Whatever it is, it's trending in the Brazilian YouTube community. Shared by YouTube channel EXTV, the video shows a gangly creature sitting dejectedly at the foot of stadium seating. It's hard to tell what this creature is, even more so after it looks up at us. Its glowing eyes and pointed ears do tell us one thing: it's not human. It moves to get up. And when it stands, you see just how gangly it is. Its long, thin limbs are barely able to lift its large, barrel-like body, but looks can be deceiving. On its feet, it turns out that it's quite nimble. That sound was terrifying. We can assume the cameraman lived to share this footage, but we can't assume he didn't pee his pants in the process. The footage looks real enough to be considered authentic. Even the creature's shadow seems to fall in accordance with all other shadows in frame, but this is, in fact, a production. I tracked down the original source, JJPD Producciones, which specializes in CGI. I'm happy to find that this creepy goblin doesn't exist in reality, at least I hope. When you go onto abandoned property, don't expect to be the only one there. Published to YouTube by Double Bins in January of 2008, this video will dissuade you from ever entering an abandoned home. The clip shows some adventurers exploring an empty home, or one that they think is empty anyway. The two-story White House appears to be in the middle of the countryside. As the boys approach it, its big empty windows are like empty eye sockets, giving the house an even more sinister vibe. They enter the house, which doesn't even have a door. It's wide open to whomever dares come inside. The place is an absolute nightmare. It looks as though something tore through the house and destroyed everything in its wake. The oven door is in the middle of the living room. As the boys walk through, the one filming scans the roof, which has a window open to the second floor. That's when they see they're not alone. A figure passes by in plain view overhead.
The roof is off. Dude, oh my!
Needless to say, the boy who captures it on film immediately flips out, and they both race out of the house and across the field. Whether ghost or human, this is definitely something worth fleeing from. A man finally feels like he's caught paranormal evidence of his haunted basement.
Guys, I'm just cooking some food, watching the game today. I was just down in my basement, and the scariest thing that happened to me, I was down there and... Holy, did you guys just see that? You guys saw that I just had those plates right there.
When he looks at the home security system, this sweeping shadow figure is what he's caught on tape. I'm not sure what to make of this, because the thought of seeing a shadow person in the basement is really creepy. This shadow figure could be CGI, but the uploader hasn't said a word. If so, do you think it's real? A YouTuber named Hello Ryan Holmes lives in a house that you and I want no part of. Scary noises have become part of a daily ritual stemming from paranormal activity, or so he suspects. So when it happens again, Ryan grabs a camera to see if he can catch a ghost on video.
Did you just hear that? I definitely just heard somebody run up the stairs.
Ryan thinks he hears creeping noises of a ghost running up the stairs. Ghost or not, he is definitely not alone. Camera in hand, Ryan gets no further than the kitchen before he realizes.
What the f?
All of the cabinets have mysteriously opened on their own, and when he goes to close them...
Why the f is everything open? What the f? What the f?
He turns around only to find that the ghost has moved every object in his kitchen back to where it was. It looks normal at first, but I think there is an editing cut here at 2 minutes when he briefly zooms into the cabinet for no reason at all. He could have stopped recording, moved all of the objects, and then started recording again to make it seem like it was all done in one take. Beyond this fence lays an abandoned asylum that a YouTuber named TGF Bro and his friends badly want to explore. The inside looks like a tattered mansion on the verge of collapse. Strange noises follow them as they progress deeper into the interior of the asylum.
Did you get that on camera?
When they get deep enough, TGF Bro pulls out a Ouija board and begins directing questions to whoever or whatever is near.
If there's anybody there, please move the triangle to yes.
The group hears a loud bang directly behind them, and they all take off. I noticed that the third person was off camera though, so maybe that person made the commotion and then acted scared. Then again, old asylums are supposed to be notoriously haunted, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Ouija board really did bring spirits near. Connor is an urban explorer from the UK who has been making Urbex videos for over 3 years and has had his share of eerie encounters. The Explorer Returns is the name of his channel, and on it are 2 places in particular that I bet he wished he never stepped foot in. One of them is the Merrick Park Nursing Home. Shut down in 2014, the nursing home became the center of controversy after 2 residents lost their lives due to neglect. An investigation revealed the elderly were being fed medication that was out of date and didn't work. They were also helplessly exposed in cold water baths for prolonged periods of time, and other mistreatments that no one should have to endure. It's pitch black outside when Connor and his friend Daniel find the place, and the inside is just as dark. His flashlight combs across room after room filled with flowers sent by family members who had no idea what miserable conditions their loved ones were being kept in. The doors still have names on them, and the residents seem to respond to having their name read aloud. Connor enters one room and a feeling of intense unease makes him let out an involuntary moan. A woman's laughter comes from the corner of the room by a pile of her former possessions that are no doubt teeming with energy from her passing. Like I said before, it's only Connor and Daniel, so they shouldn't be hearing any other voices, let alone a laugh like this one. At any rate, the spirits seem relatively friendly until they make a mistake at 2 minutes and 19 seconds by wiping some leaves off of these two names with their shoe. They meant no disrespect by the gesture, just the opposite actually, but stepping on the names of those who have passed in their own home is bound not to go over well. After all, these spirits have already experienced enough mistreatment when they were still alive. Connor steps at the doorway of a laundry room lined with someone's clothes. He doesn't notice the arm of the shirt sleeve move on its own. It's probably just a draft from the open window now that I look closer at it, but that still doesn't explain the angry eyes peering at him from within. They somehow miss this and instead focus on something upstairs. The power is off, and yet a strange chime takes them up a floor. The tension grows as they track it from room to room until the source is only a few feet away.
It's in here, it's in here. Yes, in here.
They find a motion sensor that stays on for as long as the door remains open. However, it wasn't going off until recently, so that means the door must have just opened when no one was on that floor. It's weird, but they're more relieved it's not an alarm, so they press on to the 3rd floor. Holes in the roof have left some rooms filled with leaves and open to the elements. They don't find much up here, and when they are ready to leave, their suspicions about opening doors are confirmed.
Nothing, just empty. Just rooms. I told you.
The door that they had clearly left open at 12 minutes and 50 seconds is now mysteriously closed. Either it has shut on its own, which is certainly possible because it's pretty thin and lightweight, or else something closed it besides them. As they are leaving the Merrick Park nursing home, the camera picks up a final occurrence. Listen. The craziest of all though has to be when Connor explores an abandoned asylum at 1 in the morning. Through the woods and under a gate lies the hapless estate where many were held their entire lives. It takes Connor 8 minutes just to find an unboarded window, and by then he is almost too fearful to venture inside. Aside from the paranormal, this looks to be a possible hangout for tough locals as well. The inside is completely and unnaturally silent. The house doesn't creak, crack, or settle at all. Connor keeps hearing things that don't register up on camera, and he suspects that something is in the large room with him. He sets up a K2 meter to detect electromagnetic energy but finds none. He talks out loud to a spirit who apparently isn't there, then gets moving again. Or maybe the spirit was listening close by all along.
Let's go upstairs.
When he goes into the next room, he catches on camera a fleeting glimpse of a tall shadow at 12 minutes and 15 seconds. He doesn't see the shadow man in real life, but his equipment certainly does. It's not graffiti either, if that's what you were thinking, because when he comes back downstairs and turns at 17 minutes 4 seconds, the wall it was standing against is clean. It's nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, the room where Connor left his K2 meter suddenly experiences odd activity as a mysterious white light slowly grows into a beam for a full minute, from 15 minutes and 15 seconds to 16 minutes and 15 seconds, and then fades away. He goes back to the K2 meter and runs some more experiments. None of his questions get any answers, and it doesn't seem interested in communicating with him at all, or at least not as much as it wants to from a distance. He sets up the K2 meter in another room and decides if this doesn't work, then he will end the investigation. He doesn't know that he has already caught both a shadow figure and a mysterious white light on tape already, and is growing somewhat frustrated. Just when he is ready to give up, the shadow man returns. And as he quivers in the cold, he fails to miss two eyes looking at him from the doorway where the footsteps just were. The K2 meter still hasn't gone off, but that's because it's not in the room with him. It's clearly waiting just outside.
I'm done. I'm so done.
Upon announcing that this investigation is over, the Shadow Man takes it upon himself to walk into the same room and make itself known.
Holy.
What would you do if you saw this happen before your very eyes? Share to TikTok by Tikraz. This crazy video has me doing a double take. The footage shows a girl at a trampoline park jumping up and down like normal. At first, nothing's off, but then... After kneeling, she bends backwards, takes the opposite angles of each leg with her hands, and manages to fold herself around in such a bizarre way that you would think she's possessed. What is this madness? I think this girl is double jointed, also called hypermobile. This involves joints that can move beyond the typical range. About 20% of people are hypermobile, but many are not to this extent. At least there's no need for an exorcism. This unknown creature sighting found frozen in ice has gone viral over the years despite lacking a backstory, or at least one I was able to research. Some people say this creature sighting is a half-deer, half-man humanoid that got trapped under the ice before they could resurface. I think this is a Photoshop though, and I'll tell you why. When you look really closely at this picture, as many times as I have, you'll realize the face is actually a Photoshop Jason mask from Friday the 13th. You can just barely mark out the air holes beneath the nose, like a hockey mask ordinarily has. The hollow eyes are also exactly the same dimensions as the Jason mask. It's a good Photoshop for sure, one that has fooled many people for years. But without video evidence, I have to believe this is a Jason mask with deer antlers photoshopped over it. Let me know if you think that's what it is. I would be pretty proud if I was the only one who finally debunked this picture. It's been creeping me out for a long. Southern city of D'Armondville, Exploring Alabama is a YouTube channel that takes on the creepiest abandoned places in the entire state. One such video is an abandoned church that's in the early stages of decay. Inside is a mess but still structurally sound. Some rooms are too dark and creepy for him to willingly go into, so he mostly stays in the more well-lit areas and continues to explore until he gets his share of footage. As he's leaving, something compels him to take one last look in the main room, and that's when he records it. Some are calling this a mysterious creature, while others say this is only a stray cat and nothing more. It's too far away to tell for certain, but I think it's interesting and worth talking about. So what do you think? Oftentimes, creepy things happen when you least expect it, but it's a rarity when you capture that moment on video. In this video's description, the uploader Junked Up Kitten notes that the footage was simply meant to be the crew fooling around, but instead they captured footage in the old county jail that once you see it, you can't unsee it. The uploader explains that the building manager of this defunct jail was friends of his father, so he let the boys film for nearly 6 hours. The group just wanted to fool around in there. They never imagined they'd catch anything spooky, and that's when things got real. We had no intention of actually looking for ghosts. We were just being dumb kids, the uploader writes. However, when we were editing our spoof, we found this face in the window. Only the 3 boys, the uploader and his 2 friends were on site when the footage was captured. His friends were sitting at the booking desk, while the uploader is in frame, oblivious to the man's face behind him, with a mouth wide open as though it's yelling. The spooky image appears to be in a holding cell window, holding cells that were locked at the time, as they were used for storage. When the boy's face crosses the window's path, the screaming image slowly vanishes. Could it be a man now secretly living in the building? Maybe, or possibly some psycho spirit haunting his former holding cell. This faded family footage goes from heartwarming to horrifying when you realize what this father has done to become a wanted man with a $100,000 reward on his head. According to the FBI, this man extinguished his entire family, wife included, and then created a gas leak in the home. He lit a candle and the house went up in an instant to cover his tracks. This was back in 2001 and no traces of him have been uncovered. He is still on the top 10 most wanted list just in case. In 2010, a man from South Jersey named Nick mysteriously went missing. His older brother Mark vanished shortly thereafter. Their small town was devastated by these back-to-back disappearances and feared the worst. There wasn't a shred of evidence for police to go off of, at least not until a few months later when one of Nick's high school acquaintances receives this mysterious post office package. Inside the package are memory cards and hard drives with hundreds of videos to analyze. Eerily enough, the return address was Nick's house, so either Nick sent this himself or someone else mailed it on his behalf well after his disappearance. Perhaps it was sent by whoever was responsible. A lot of the videos are typical teenage vlogging material you'd expect from 2010. Basic stuff like making a sandwich or watching TV. But on the other hand, there are at least 30 videos containing super creepy information relevant to his whereabouts, or should I say his possible remains. Let's retrace Nick's steps. On September 3rd, 2010, Nick goes to the notoriously haunted Pleasant Mill Cemetery in Batstow, Jersey to see what he can find. On the other side of an old bridge in the woods, he sees some 1800 burial markers and an old church that makes him feel creeped out. Though whatever he thinks he sees while standing on this bridge is what freaks him out the most. This is where voices are said to sometimes be heard on the water. Tell me if you see anything. I honestly can't say I see anything strange, but maybe something was there that didn't show up on camera. The video ends with him running back to his car looking very serious and scared, wide eyes and all, so he probably really did see something strange. He never wants to go back there again, but at sometimes the experience eats away at him until a week later on September 10th, when he goes back to settle his curiosity once and for all, this time with his friend Austin. Night has fallen by the time they arrive. There's not much activity by the old church, so they walk over to the river. They don't hear anything and aren't really that scared, so they challenge each other to sit in the darkness under the bridge. The very same bridge where Nick first saw something, mind you. And as soon as their lights go out, they make contact.
You hear that?
When they turn their lights on to see what's out there, they see this broad goblin-like face looking back at them, soon followed by a splash of water, like something jumping at them, or else reaching up from the depths below. Away they run and away it follows. I don't know what this thing is, but since they've disturbed its home twice now, it decides to return the favor. What you're about to witness happened on the very same night. Nick sees movement behind this curtain wall and thinks it has to be his older brother Mark. It certainly looks like someone's hands, and yet no one's there. Suddenly it grows very cold where he's standing, cold enough to see his own breath, which is odd considering it isn't cold enough to see his breath when he's outside looking for Mark. They really should have stopped going there, but on September 18th they try again. This time, after following these strange lights in the woods, they discover something they were never meant to have. This nondescript book has no title, but I want to know more about this strange binding. It looks like part of a protective ritual, or maybe even a curse upon whoever opens it without permission. Nick grabs it and they go get something to eat, and that's subsequently when they start getting followed even worse than ever before. By now, Nick and Austin have developed somewhat of an unhealthy obsession with the Pleasant Mill Cemetery. It scares them, but it also attracts them and they can't stop going. Maybe something there is enticing them to return. Something that wants its book back, and the more times they visit, the stronger its presence becomes at home.
What? Tired of this. Wait. What the?
When you look at the picture before it falls at 10 minutes and 28 seconds, I think it's a picture of Mark, the older brother who would soon disappear. On September 27th, Nick and Austin make a discovery that they seem to shrug off, but I think is important. It's inside of an old house that they find not too far from the cemetery. The outside looks like it went ablaze a long time ago. Through a square hole in the floor, they spy an area that looks like it could have been a secret chamber when covered. They get a really bad feeling and don't want to go down, but Austin makes a simple observation that I think speaks volumes.
Oh, it smells. Alright, we're wasting time. We gotta go.
It could be mold, or it could be a body that hasn't been disturbed in quite some time. Things get really crazy after they discover the possible body. By November 2nd, Mark is gone and nobody knows where he went. Nick goes back to the cemetery to look for his brother, and this final recording is what he finds. A tall figure with an all-white face marches toward him, with a long tool in his hand. All I will say is that it looks like Nick sadly met the same fate as his brother. This police cam footage was taken during a massive wildfire in Sonoma County, California in 2017. Officers are doing what they can to evacuate the public and restore order, but as this brief dash cam video shows, they were up against total chaos at the time.
I dispatched someone from the fire department and tried to get back by accident. He said he is unaware of which way the fire is going. They have so many fires, they can't really keep track at this point, and they also cannot get through.
Listen closely and you'll even hear the dispatcher say that they can't tell which direction the fire is spreading and seems to be genuinely overwhelmed. I have to salute this officer and all of the other brave public officials who willingly charged into a massive blaze to try and help everyone. A YouTuber in India named Fayaz, the Mizhan, travels to the Kalapalli cemetery at midnight, where a humanoid shadow figure is said to haunt anyone foolish enough to come near. This is the exact moment he accidentally caught a ghost on camera, as his viewers would later point out to him. Something hangs back to watch him under the street lamps. Something strange. You can just barely see the shadow moving away if you watch down by its legs. Considering the infamous haunted graveyard is directly beside him, I think it stands to reason that the shadow is paranormal. Redditor Go Bartlett went apartment viewing, and what they spotted in the footage later gave them pause. Watch the walkthrough and see if you can spot it. Did you see it? Keep your eye on the far corner of the room, next to the window. It looks like a tentacle reaches out from the corner of the wall before disappearing a moment later. The Redditors in the comments had some thoughts. While the comments on this one are the usual mixed bag, I personally like to think something Stranger Things-esque is living in the walls here. I too would skip this one. Two friends stand on the edge of the woods, looking for a figure that's said to haunt their suburban neighborhood in Missouri. What they encounter while exploring this forest opening has left people asking if it's real or fake for years since. A shadow person kneels in the woods, regarding them without saying a single word. They see the shadow for only a moment, but it's scary enough to make them drop the camera and run. Later, they retrieve the camera and upload it onto YouTube. If you listen closely, moments before they see the strange figure, you can hear his friend Ben saying he feels something piercing through him. Something like its cold, lifeless stare. A paranormal investigator named Jeff Stetik's world walks into an abandoned house through a door that was kicked open long ago. An old woman once lived here, and all of her possessions are still inside, mostly various clothing items and trinkets, and quite a few photos. He is looking at two black and white pictures of a boy, perhaps a grandchild or a son, when he hears a faint sound coming from further down the hall.
What was that?
He detects nothing with his untrained eye, but as his camera adjusts to the darkness, it does pick up a small outline pressed up against the wall. Perhaps the very same boy in the pictures he was just observing. All of this escapes him as he calmly exits, completely unaware of the boy cloaked darkness just one room away. This Area 51 video appears to capture no less than 5 bright lights traveling in a tight cluster. It kind of looks like the government could be testing military-grade flares at first, until the lights mysteriously stop in midair, hover for a bit, and then move in the exact opposite direction. These sophisticated flight patterns seem to suggest that they are piloted by intelligent beings. At the 1 minute mark, all the lights grow intensely bright and almost meld into one solid form, at which point a smaller piece breaks off and moves upwards. This looks like no aircraft that has ever existed before, and as far as many are concerned, it can only be one of 2 options: a top secret government prototype, or else actual aliens. Do you have the cojones to dance with the devil? Published by Devil's Hours Production in May of 2021, this scary video sees one paranormal investigator playing around with Beelzebub. Originally filmed in March of 2013, the crew gets a spike on the Mel meter after one of them asks the spirits to make their presence known.
Can you make your presence known?
Just so you know, Matt, we're getting a 0.1 spike on the Mel meter right now.
As they continue onward, the meter rises and rises and rises some more. When they specifically ask the spirit to raise the meter, it does.
0.1, 1.2, 1.3.
Is that you? Speaking to this device right here. I heard another one. Is that you? Speaking to this device right here. I heard another voice. Oh, that could have been a car. Hold on.
They continue walking when they suddenly hear a girl giggling. The girl remains with them, and she makes her presence known.
What's caught on here?
7. 0.6.
I just heard a little girl.
0.6.
You go up to that antenna right now and you touch it, it will go off, and that's how we can know that it's you.
The pair capture the creepy image on camera. It looks very much like a small girl, and later they hear a demonic hissing noise. Is this the soul of a little girl? Or is it the devil pretending? A YouTuber named James Matthews recorded this video somewhere in the UK after he kept hearing this noise over and over again one day with no reasonable explanation. It sounds to me like it could be some rusty piece of machinery, but James lives in the quiet countryside, and no farming equipment is big enough to sound like that. The noise seems to take up the entire sky. Sounds. While walking home, Redditor 420 Esky Grimm wanted to make a creepy video, but when they watched it back later, they heard a creepy sound that they hadn't heard while filming. Listen closely. They succeeded at capturing creepy footage. The Redditor explains that the whining noise is from a garage door opening, but as for the strange breath/gurgling sound at the very beginning of the clip, most in the comments think it came from the Redditor themselves, but the Redditor insists they didn't make the noise. Redditor Men and Macer has their own theory. I agree. If that truly wasn't them, the Redditor had better run, because angering whatever made that noise is something you should not attempt. Calm down. This YouTuber thinks his room is completely haunted. This is what was caught on video when the camera was left running for only a few minutes.
Okay, not exactly 5 minutes, but I swear to God I heard something, so I'm gonna watch back the footage.
He comes back into the room thinking he heard a noise, but nothing is there. At least nothing that he could see. At 2 minutes and 41 seconds, a fast-moving shadow figure is caught on camera. A mysterious outline of a person. I don't think the reflection is his because it moves too quickly. This creepy video is either paranormal or edited, but which? Something about it says real ghost sighting to me. This creature in the sky is unidentifiable, but it's got 6 legs. We originally came across this video on the Spanish-speaking scary video community in June of 2019. The thing appears to have a pin head, multiple crab-like legs, and finally wings. As you can see, when it takes off from the tree branch it's crouched upon. The creature looks extraterrestrial. It's certainly something nobody has seen on Earth. Whatever it is, you don't want this monster hiding under your bed. We managed to track down the original source, and this turns out to be a CGI creature made by the Nicaraguan YouTube team, JJPD Producciones. So if you come across this video because it's spreading all over the internet, now you know its true origins. A YouTuber named Braveburn is by himself checking out an old abandoned house rotting in the forest. Behind a creepy mold-covered door and down some old wooden steps, he finds a basement that looks far from safe. He pokes around downstairs for less than a minute before he finds a false sense of wall that leads to a lonesome hidden room. Soon he comes across a bunch of miscellaneous extension cords tangled together on a broken bench. Why anyone would need that much power to this tiny room is anyone's guess. It's almost like someone was being kept down here, possibly against their will. Braveburn shines a flashlight down a narrow square hole and chances upon a tuft of golden straw-like material. I'm really hoping that this is insulation and not human hair. He quickly leaves without checking, so I guess we'll never find out.
Okay, so I'm in an abandoned house, and there are like Blair Witch things hanging up here, and I'm going up here 100%. Okay.
A YouTuber named Commander Holly came across this strange cottage while hiking with her aunt in Ireland. The first floor is mostly just crumbling stone architecture, but Commander Holly looks up and sees strange ornaments hanging in the attic. At the top of a worn ladder, she finds an entire room full of things used for strange rituals and various incantations.
So here's the circle we found. I wish this was a joke, but it's not. There's like an amazing like triangle above it and another one.
In the center of the room is a hanging decoration with faded pictures of various saints, and in the corner is a book of pure black magic. Commander Holly eagerly flips through its pages and decides to take it home to study, but I'm not so sure if that's a good idea. Let me know if you would have done the same, or if you would leave it be. After all, who knows what secrets are inside, or who may come looking for it. Do you feel like someone's pursuing you? Then you should probably trust your gut. Published to YouTube by Upbeat Yamaha in February of 2019. This video follows a motorcyclist minding his own business on the open road. Wearing a GoPro, he manages to capture a white truck in front of him. Nothing out of the ordinary. Ahead, the truck pulls over to the side of the road. This too appears innocent enough, but after passing the white truck and later taking a turn onto a side street, seeing the truck continue along, you probably wouldn't expect what comes next. The biker returns to the main road, and the same white truck now a ways ahead pulls over again, letting him pass a second time. The biker starts to wonder what's going on. Even more worrisome, he thinks the truck is following him. He suspects the driver might be trying to record his license plate to report him for something. Although he says he hasn't done anything to report, he again pulls over at an intersection and attempts to wait out the suspect, who has stopped as well. The biker says the man in the truck is attempting to wave him on. After a brief face-off, the biker turns to the left, noting the guy's plate number and saying he was taking pictures of him. While the video doesn't come to any concrete conclusion about what the white truck wanted, the biker suspects that he's dealt with the same man before. Some in the comments think it's probably just some angry boomer who's mad about how loud the bike is. Others advise that if this happens again, to pull into a fire station, as they most certainly will help someone being followed. A cautionary tale if there ever was one. For all we know, this lurker could have had even more sinister motives. This home in Bethel, Washington has been overtaken by an evil force that refuses to go away. Paranormal experts from all over the world have been baffled by their findings, like this team for example. First, motion sensors repeatedly detect movement in areas where nothing is visible to the eye. What's especially weird is how the tripwires stop beeping whenever the investigators are near. Grunts, growls, and strange laughter echo throughout the house as well. Here's an example of the same laugh caught on multiple cameras.
You maybe direct it a little bit better.
All of the noises sound like they are the right distance away in each shot, so this is probably real. A ghost hunter doesn't even get his equipment fully set up before he detects a paranormal presence on camera. Look how quickly this shadow moves by. The shadow moves way too fast and also turns in the opposite direction as he does, meaning it can't belong to him. Here's the shadow from a second angle, this time taken from the handheld camera. Clearly, this shadow is caused by something off camera, but whether it's human or not is up for you to decide. Joseph Widener opens his dark web mystery box and immediately comes face to face with two creepy dolls. Inside of a gray plastic bag, he also finds an old beat up hammer. It looks well used, though for what I can't tell, hopefully not on people. But then, worst of all, in another gray plastic bag, Joseph finds a sharp instrument that has almost certainly seen foul play one way or another.
What the dude?
The screwdriver is covered in hair and wet with an off-color liquid. It may or may not have been staged, but I personally think Joseph should have contacted the police just to be on the safe side. Let me know if you agree. If you've ever been in a bug swarm of any kind, you'll know it can give you chills. This mayfly swarm is no different. In fact, it's practically nightmarish.
Oh my god!
When the mayflies took over this bridge in Iowa, snowplows were required to unblock the swarm buzzing in the bridge's path. In fact, the bridge had been so completely swarmed by the bugs that emergency crews were sent to the area. The nightmare scene turned into a scary situation after bikers tried to plow through the massive heap of mayflies but lost traction. Luckily, they escaped. The bridge's clearing was recorded by Tina Franzen as she rode along in her son's police car. Franzen said of the event, "I've lived in Sabula since '75. I've never seen that many before, ever." To clear the bugs over the following weeks, it was decided by the Iowa Department of Transportation to keep the streetlights off near the bridge as the lights attract the mayflies. Here's hoping it all worked out for Iowa. They don't need any more of this nightmare fuel. Who is standing on the side of this road? While driving at night, paranoiacs captured this obscure figure standing there in the darkness. When they back up a moment later, the figure is gone. Where did she go? I think it's probably for the best that she disappeared. This is one hitchhiker you really shouldn't pick up. A YouTuber named S. Zachria is exploring a construction site when he comes across a peculiar hole in the ground that somehow feels off. He is curiously poking around with a stick when an anguished voice calls out to him from below, followed by a strong underground wind. This part definitely sounds like a person crying out for help. Soon their cries are replaced by another sound, this one much different than the first. I don't think human vocal cords could ever produce the noises that follow. A final moan is soon drowned out by the chorus of supernatural screeches. Is this person being tormented by evil spirits, or is he himself becoming one of them? Room. A little boy ghost is apparently haunting the disappointments room at the historic Jefferson Hotel. The official YouTube channel for the hotel shares this footage, captured on security camera. I'll let the hotel's manager explain.
I'm telling the spirits, right here. I'm leaving to show themselves. We're doing a little investigation up here in what we call the...
He is seen taking a photo in the room, and this is the result.
In question. If you look in the center of your screen, what I see is a little boy with a jacket staring at me. I'm going to show you a series of photos, and let me show you the enhanced version right there.
Do you see what he's seeing? I do, and now I'm wondering how this boy passed away and why he haunts the disappointments room. This mysterious figure warrants even further digging into the Jefferson's storied history. Number 4. There is a church in Brazil where many have reported hearing screams and seeing dark shadowy smoke. A priest is said to have passed away here. YouTube team Fatos e Mysterios heads to this haunted church to investigate. Inside they find an altar.
Olha esse altar. Pouco, né? Será que tem algum túnel aqui embaixo, mano?
While near the altar, they hear this strange sound.
Que zoada foi? Que zoada é essa, gente?
And later, they spot him.
É sério, cara, tem alguma coisa ali, gente. Entra aí, na moral. É sério, cara.
Que isso aí, Alan?
Opa!
He is kneeling at the altar with a candle lit. As the crew comes closer, something startles them.
Porra, é isso, cara? Oxe, tu é doido, mano? Tu viu isso aí, cara? Tu viu, mano?
What was that? I'm not sure, but it doesn't scare the crew away entirely, and they end up encountering the priest one last time.
Algo esquisito, cara. Vamos papo aqui. Como isso aqui é tenebroso, pô. Que mundo aquilo ali, mano. Misericórdia! Ali!
What would you do if you saw this figure in a dilapidated, abandoned church?
Tenebroso, pô. Que mundo aquilo ali, mano. Misericórdia! Ali! Tu viu, mano?
To me, the figure appears too solid to be an apparition, but that begs the question, what is it doing here in the darkness? Coupled with the creepy sounds, its presence is more than disturbing. A return to these haunted, hollowed out buildings leads YouTuber Samal Shadow Hunter to the shadows. Here is one of them. Samal meets with a looming shadow figure on this path, and as he gets closer, it disappears. He continues his search around the compound and encounters another figure.
Oh my god. Kinsa day ka? Kinsa ka? Amigo? Ay ka wala amigo.
As he watches the hooded being, it too disappears.
Kaupo lang siya guys, oh. Hindi gumagalaw guys. Wala, grabe naman yan.
What is this figure? It is not actually a shadow, as we may have assumed. It's a being in a robe and a hood, perhaps a demon? I don't know what it is, but to me, it looks like the shadow hunter is becoming the hunted. Number 30. This ghost hunter should really be looking behind him. Published by Find Ghost in December of 2021, a man stands in the wilderness holding something and addressing what's in front of him. He is oblivious to what's behind him. A djinn appears, transparent at first, but then more solid looking. The djinn stays only for a moment before gradually vanishing again. The moral of the story? Sometimes what you're looking for is right over your shoulder. As we all know, ghosts can walk through walls. Here's video proof, published by Full Horror Dose in April of 2022. This scary footage was captured on CCTV in the hall of what appears to be a school building. In one of the cameras, a woman is seen in the hallway. She turns toward the wall and after pausing for a moment, walks right on through it. On closer inspection, there doesn't appear to be a doorway, elevator, or any entry here to explain her seeming disappearance. The way she moves so tentatively is also strange, and her figure vanishes right into the flat surface. What do you think? Is this a real ghost in action? If not that or clever editing, what could possibly be going on in this building? Spirits seem to love to announce their presence by turning the lights on and off. Before we had flashlights, it was oil lanterns and candles. The scary phenomenon continues in a haunted house in South Wales when a spirit is told to show a sign. Startled, they investigate the incident by asking the ghost to communicate through this light. It's hard to tell from this creepy video if the flickering is a faulty wire or paranormal activity. A strange grin across his face at 1 minute and 47 seconds is a difficult response to read. A scared and nervous reaction is probably it. He's really being brave. Only a true ghost hunter can smile through their fear. Once. Things aren't always what they seem. YouTube channel Rootstown Paranormal shares this security footage captured at a gas station in Wadsworth, Ohio. Pay attention to the garbage cans. Every garbage can shifts to the right simultaneously, but how? If you watch closely, I think the video has been sped up toward the end. Keep your eye on the truck bed. The bottom right of the tarp seems to move unnaturally. This suggests to me that a strong wind may have moved all of the trash cans, but not as quickly as the video suggests. What do you think is going on here? Number 8. A YouTuber named Alien6467 and a friend are heading down a long stretch of country road in Southwood, New York, when an abandoned White House on the side of the road catches their attention. Something feels odd about this house, so they decide to get out and start exploring. The first thing the two of them notice is a room with #vengeance scrawled across the wall in big green letters. Under this word are dozens of bags that inexplainably contain only a single coin. After a bit of searching, they find a loose floor panel nearby and start pulling out more Ziploc bags containing single coins. The strange feeling gets even stronger after this discovery and they decide to leave. When filming the house for one last time, they see that they are no longer alone, nor were they ever to begin with. A mysterious black silhouette watches them from above without sound, but I guess it could just be a prank. I mean, they were just inside of that room. So maybe Alien6467 went up there again and pretended to be a ghost for the final shot. Then again, it could even have been somebody who was squatting in the house. The coins might have been a calling card, each one representing a previous victim. This footage was apparently found inside the Penhurst Asylum, which is a real abandoned place located in Pennsylvania. The footage contains two students exploring the clearly abandoned building, and while nothing too bizarre happens in this footage, the backstory and timing are enough to make you scream. The two student explorers were never seen again after this. Well, that is terrifying enough. I want you to focus on the timestamp in the corner. Notice how they are ending up in new spots in the asylum at a faster and faster rate. Near the end of the video, the pair end up in the forest at a rate where the speed they are traveling is simply inhuman. What do you think is happening here? If this footage is real, then it is a case where the happenings would never be believed, if not for it being recorded. The National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration aircraft took advantage of flying through Hurricane Irma to show us by taking this horrifying video of the storm outside. As the aircraft flew through the Atlantic Ocean's most powerful hurricane ever recorded, it gained vital information of the storm's path using drop sensors, as well as measuring the storm's intensities via radar readings. Irma made landfall in the Caribbean. Hurricane winds and rains whipped the airplane as it stood in the midst of Irma's power, but slowly the clouds lightened and the blue sky could be seen while the rain ceased. The contrast shows the magnitude and absolute power of a hurricane at full throttle. Is there a ghost at this military base? Posted to the paranormal subreddit by Multifrapser. This creepy sound clip was captured in a base for the Finnish Defense Forces. The Redditor explains that the video was cut out of the clip for security reasons, but that it was recorded near a public road at around 10:30 p.m. in January of 2020. Though it's short, he said the sound continued for 45 minutes until 11:15 p.m. The Redditor writes, "During the time I captured this clip, I'd kept watch at one of the checkpoints that led to the military base or garrison." He explains that the noise started to get quieter little by little until it vanished. Another military personnel had heard the same noises the night before around midnight. He also describes the base's surroundings. There is a town about 1.5 kilometers away that turns into a veritable ghost town around this time. There are also a central fire station and rural industries nearby, as well as a railroad track, but only one rail line is scheduled to pass there at a specific time and doesn't make this noise. On the opposite side of the base is a small bay with only motor and sailboats that don't usually operate at this time of day or year. Across from the base is a water tower made of concrete, which is where he thinks the noise may be coming from, though he had never heard this sound before. He describes the surroundings that night as not windy. There are many different theories in the comments as to the source of this noise, with some suggesting it could be the mysterious sky trumpets that have been captured all over the world. Others suggest coronal mass ejections in the ionosphere, which have to do with the aurora borealis. It could also be singing ice, which is a sound effect that happens when frozen soil or rock cracks after water seeps in and freezes. Some also think the rhythmic oscillation sounds mechanical or like breathing, but Redditor Paul JS75 believes that the Redditor might be on the right track with the water tower theory writing. Keep in mind, when draining or filling the thing, there also has to be a way for air to get in or out. A lot of air rushing through a passage is going to make noise. What do you think this is? Do you have any other theories? I think no matter what the cause is, this would be terrifying to hear outside at night while being alone. A person cautiously follows a winding road at night using only the light on their phone to guide them. They sense danger on the right and look over. Nothing is there, but their feeling of being watched does not go away, so they look over again, and that's when they make contact. A short creature with a portly body atop long legs does its best to escape the flashlight. At 1 minute and 36 seconds, we see that the overall gray coloring of the creature, when under the light, does match the rest of the background remarkably well. There's no obvious blurring around the edges of the creature either, which indicates that this may in fact be authentic, unedited footage. There's nothing creepier than finding extra limbs in your home movie. Published to YouTube in March of 2015 by Patrick Cochran. This video of the haunted Hinsdale house in New York will leave you terrified. Located on McMahon Road in Hinsdale, New York, the Hinsdale house runs tours for paranormal investigators and scare fans alike, as it's known to be one of the most haunted houses in the area. The mysterious history of the place includes everything from an exorcism to unexplainable events and sightings. Some of these events are recorded in the book Echoes of a Haunting. Haunting is centered around the Dandy family who lived in the home with their kin in the 70s. The family claims a number of spirits visited them during their stay, and they even had a priest come on more than one occasion to perform an exorcism. The house won out though, and the Dandy family eventually fled the haunted place. A number of other families made attempts to call the Hinsdale house their home, but no one stayed for long. The present owner, Daniel Clays, doesn't live in the home, but allows paranormal teams to investigate the home. This video may show an investigation or just a regular ghost tour. The group wanders through the haunted house in the darkness, which is creepy enough as it is. Then around 2:36 you see it. A strange arm swings into sight in the darkness. What is that? It certainly doesn't look human. YouTuber Tommy Poo writes in the comments, of all the countless videos I have viewed on YouTube and other social media sites since 2009, this is only the second where I believe visual proof of paranormal entities has been digitally captured. YouTuber Ty Cheeman adds, I was involved in the paranormal investigation show as a special guest star at the Hinsdale house 2 years ago, and it has plagued me since with negative activity around me and my home. It seems Ty was certainly not alone in his experience. There's a reason no family ever lasted long in the Hinsdale house. Could you? Me neither. A YouTuber named Yams is hanging out with his friend Bryson when they suddenly suspect that they saw something bizarre off in the woods located near Yam's house. When they took out their phone, They were able to take a picture of the strange phenomena in question, but they want to see if they can find it one more time, and this time in person. So they split up and go two separate ways in order to see if they can track down whatever it is they saw. Even still, I don't think they knew that this was going to happen.
What was that?
Right there. So I just want you to focus your attention. Upper left corner of the screen. There's clearly somebody walking in the woods here.
Will!
Right there.
Will!
And I think this is actually a case of just a complete stranger just sort of wandering around in the woods here. But this also seems to kind of be a bit of a residential area, and there doesn't look to be, maybe there's a pathway right here, but they look to be walking directly in the tree line here. Almost like they're trying to stay out of sight, but it certainly terrified this YouTuber. Out of the corner of his eye, one of the friends sees the creature in question lurking around the forest and begins to run away from the scene immediately and starts to call out his friend's name in order to find him and regroup. Luckily, just a few moments later, the two friends are back together, and the one filming informs the other that he believes he was able to capture the creature on film. However, some people in the comments have questioned this video's authenticity, stating that just a few seconds before the footage cuts off, you can see a long black object laying on the ground, which some people say is a costume. Then again, it could have just been something completely unrelated, but you never know. Either way, fake or not, this is one creepy video you won't want to watch late at night. On 3830 McMahon Road sits a lone white house which at first glance looks rather unassuming, but is actually a source of otherworldly evil, a place so foul that not even two separate exorcisms could fully cleanse its walls. Over 800 Native Americans are said to have lost their lives in the surrounding hills against federal forces, many of whom are thought to be buried under the Hinsdale House, fueling its foundations with anger. And that's just the beginning. Sometime in the 1800s, two outlaw brothers used this New York property as their sick trophy room. They would go after stagecoaches and left behind no witnesses. The bodies were mostly kept in the attic or left in the basement without a care. Outside, more lives were taken over the years at a pond and also at an old tree at just the right height for a rope, which was later struck by lightning. Nowadays, the heavily haunted Hinsdale House has become a location for ghost hunters like John and Amanda of Elevated Vlogs to explore whatever secrets lie within. John and Amanda are amateur ghost hunters without much paranormal experience, so their reactions are about as raw as it gets. Their night begins with a tour from the house's current owner, a man named Daniel Clays, who spared this house from getting demolished in 2015. He seems to have formed a truce with the spirits in return for saving them. The way he talks about his experiences, the more activity their camera catches around him.
There's definitely something that's sinister, maybe darker, that comes out once in a while. But your best thing is to just ignore it and move on and go do something else. We were just standing in the kitchen and we had a camera on ourselves and they were talking about the exorcism this, exorcism that. And
Daniel leaves them to explore the house on their own.
And just kind of do a little explore before we sit down anywhere. And
did you hear that?
They also hear this noise, the sound someone makes with a hand over their mouth.
But he said he has experienced somewhat of something dark here. Experience.
They enter the room of Mary Dandy, the youngest daughter of a family who lived here during the 1970s, and find bugs on their backs, legs up. An odd characteristic that the room has become known for. An entity has attached itself here, something foul enough to attract flies and send them lifelessly to the floor without its presence. Or maybe these flies were placed here by Daniel to fool John and Amanda. Either way, the activity only seems to increase ever since standing in Mary's room. I think something runs ahead of them down the stairs into the basement. Maybe the final steps of someone trying to get away during a terrible event.
Most people that check this place out will come with a team.
Oh yeah, I'll go down first so you can show them this really cool. Did you hear that?
What was that?
And when they try to communicate with it, a scared little girl's voice comes across the airwaves.
Are you okay with us staying here tonight?
They decide to head back into Mary's room. Again, their spirit box picks up the same crying girl as before.
Are you okay with us being in this room? Can we sit here?
And this is the third time they pick up her voice. Definitely the same girl the whole time.
Are we safe?
She's following them from room to room, and maybe behind her is the sinister force that Daniel warned them to stay away from. They decided to check out the attic before they get too scared. Remember what I said about the attic earlier? Sure enough, John feels a strong hand wrap his arm to pull him forward, followed by a supernatural confirmation from a gruff male voice.
Dude, I'm not even playing, man.
Did someone touch John's arm?
Like, no lie, it felt like there was just something
Dude, that sounded like, yeah.
They flee downstairs to regroup and find they can no longer leave. Something's outside.
John.
Oh my god.
I literally heard something outside. I'm not even messing around.
Dude.
You hear that, dude?
No, I know. It sounded like metal tinging.
I don't hear it, but I do see it. Look again, it's a ghost caught on live stream. And even though I didn't hear it earlier, I do hear chains rattling during this part when they get closer to the door.
What's that noise?
There's nothing left to do but wait it out in the Hinsdale house. After a night of fitful sleep, they decide to explore the hillside before getting out of there fast. They're still afraid from yesterday's events, but it's their job as paranormal investigators to keep going no matter what. So with their spirit box out, they wander into the woods. Within minutes, they record a voice. I hear 3 words: I need help. Then they hear a familiar voice, the same one responsible for grabbing John's arm in the attic.
We're coming into the darker part of the woods here. Would somebody like to speak with us? Oh. Yep, that was definitely a male voice.
And this part is either Amanda's voice edited in, or else somebody is humming a creepy tune right next to John. The forest is dark and cold. I agree with John that this is a different language.
We're in the middle of the woods. There's no electrical.
They come to a part of the woods that's particularly eerie for no reason at all. It's just a feeling they both have. That's when they realize the reason for their fears could not be directly underfoot.
Did you die here?
The thought of communicating with the other side has always made me uneasy, but speaking with someone while standing on their unmarked grave, as elevated vlogs seem to have done, takes that uneasiness to a whole other level. A popular YouTuber named Shark is brought to this allegedly haunted location after his friend had a ghost sighting here the last time he went exploring.
And this is Marco. This is the guy. You saw the ghost, right?
Yeah, but I saw it.
You actually saw a ghost?
I saw a ghost, man.
You're not even kidding?
No, I'm in dead serious.
Just kind of want to come here, see if we see anything paranormal, see if anything's going on. Because right when he told me that, I was like, okay, we need to come here.
They are approaching an old historic house when a mysterious figure is caught on camera in the courtyard.
Push, dude, that's not moving.
No, it's moving.
Oh, yeah.
It's moving back and forth. No, it's moving.
I'm zoomed in all the way.
It's like swaying back and forth.
They argue whether or not the mysterious figure is alive, and then the object moves, so it's presumably a person. If this was a maintenance worker or a security guard, then they would probably have a flashlight, and they would also probably ask what's going on, not stand in place being as creepy as possible without making a sound. And what happens next is creepy beyond all explanation.
No. Wait, yo, she's actually moving.
It moved. Bro, it's gone, bro.
The mysterious figure seemingly disappears on camera, although when played in slow motion, it kind of looks like they simply stepped backwards out of the light and into the darkness. Still creepy either way.
Literally right here was where it was. Dude, what?
There's nothing there.
Was that literally just a random girl or something?
I don't know what it was. It looked like a
It kind of looked like it had long hair, so I think it may have been a girl.
A ghost girl, to be precise. I don't necessarily see long hair like he claims, but I'll take his word for it. And 1 minute later, they turn around to see the same shadowy figure now standing in the very place where they were at the beginning of this 3 a.m. video. I think this is probably a paranormal event and most likely a ghost sighting of a little girl like they claim. The ghostly shadow figure doesn't seem much taller than the railing that it's standing beside. And here's a scary moment you probably missed. Watch this window. At 4 minutes and 25 seconds, the light is on, and as soon as they see the figure, the light turns off by itself. It could be a timer, but it's a small detail that makes me think this is not planned and is, in fact, a paranormal event. This creepy video has been floating around the internet for quite some time, and I've never been able to find a source. It was taken by paranormal ghost hunters researching an abandoned house in Russia. They unknowingly pass over a mysterious figure in the corner who was caught on video but apparently not seen in real life. Maybe it's just me, but it looks like she could be wearing the very same dress that they find laying outside of the room moments later, in which case her body is probably nearby as well. Weirdest of all is this small object in front of her. It's too out of focus to tell for sure, but I think it might be a creepy doll caught on camera looking at them too. A YouTuber named JMX decides to push himself to his absolute limits by taking one of the most extreme YouTube challenges yet.
What are we going to be doing? We're going to be not drinking water for 48 hours.
To be clear, this challenge includes not just abstaining from liquids, but also from any food products with water in them as well. Things are going okay at first, but after about 20 hours into the challenge, his thirst starts to get the better of him. JMX's voice becomes scratchy and his lips grow white and chapped. He said he feels confused and not like himself at all, and there are still more than 24 hours to go.
4 hours to go till we're halfway, so we're 20 hours down, and yeah, I still kind of feel like shit, to be honest. I want to drink so bad.
By the second day, he comes down with a bad cold and feels completely terrible. He does not look or sound like the same person we saw at the beginning of the video. Watch this part and tell me if you agree.
Okay, we're about 3 hours away now. I honestly just want to drink something.
By hour 46, he feels like he might be in serious trouble, but he refuses to give up this far in. A friend makes him book a doctor's appointment, and JMX tries to finish the last 2 hours of the challenge under medical supervision. The doctors eventually force him to take in fluids through a needle before the 48 hours are up. JMX thinks that being given fluids through a needle does not count as breaking the challenge. Either way, I'm glad he experienced no long-lasting effects from this experiment. Tenchery. From the moment they enter this state prison, the YouTube team, Ghost Quests, feels they're not alone.
Is there anyone in there? What was that? What was that?
A villain seems to be lurking around every corner.
What the is that? Someone just ran behind you, dude. What the? Did you hear that? That sounded like a...
And as they hear footsteps, things get weirder.
Someone just spit on me! Someone just spit on me!
Did a spirit just spit on him? Or is there simply a leak in the ceiling? I'm leaning more toward a demon when he is confronted by the being shortly after.
Dude, hold on, come here. Where's your light? I need your phone light.
Sorry, that was me. Oh my, you have a huge scratch mark. Look at this.
2 red scratch marks appear across his back. I think he was just spit on and scratched by a ghostly convicted criminal. And who knows what more he'll try to get away with in the darkness. Number 4. A doorbell cam video at 3 a.m. has caught some scary moments on tape that people need to see. Watch this and tell me if you think it's real or fake. A ghostly white apparition forms before the camera half a minute before 3 a.m. It looks pretty good at first, but then it kind of looks less real the longer you look at it. If I saw this phantom-like figure outside of my house at 3 a.m. like the uploader says they did, I would be absolutely terrified. A doll with a creepy aura is chilling enough. So what happens when the doll actually moves? The G-Team Paranormal Investigators posted this video to YouTube in March of 2019 writing, "After my recent video with Omar, I decided to take his haunted dolls home with me that night. I did not bring them inside my home. I left them in a shed out back. After watching back the video I did with Omar a few times, I decided to introduce his dolls to mine and turn the camera on. The video reveals an unsettling movement. As Patty, the host, is talking about the dolls, you can see one of the porcelain dolls' heads moves ever so slightly.
Because I don't want to keep her, but I'd like her to go to a good home. I mean, if there's somebody out there that's interested, I don't... Did that thing just move?
As if she's listening. Is she? If she is, does she like what she's hearing? She must not have gone full-on Chucky when the camera stopped rolling. So we can assume so. A YouTuber named Piso Mojado records this zombie deer as it mindlessly spins around in circles at a public parking lot in the middle of the day. After a while, it briefly stops and has what could be considered a brief moment of clarity.
You alright there, little guy?
But then it falls over, gets up and resumes its frantic pacing. It runs in a half circle and heads towards the camera, but then it falls again and starts flailing wildly on the ground instead. The zombie deer seems dazed when it gets up a third time, like something has permanently changed in its mind. It calmly stumbles forward with a blank look in its eyes and drool falling from its mouth.
Yeah, he's foaming at the mouth.
Watching this video, it's hard to tell if this deer has CWD or rabies like the uploader claims. The two share many common symptoms such as drooling, disorientation, and aggression, so we may never know for sure. Either way, this man is lucky this deer decided to run away at the last moment instead of continuing its slow and steady charge in his direction. A YouTuber named Elton Minea Severo is recording a webcam video when a phone call interrupts him. It looks like he might sense that something is nearby when he is talking, but he is too distracted by the conversation to give it much more than a moment's thought. As soon as he hangs up the phone, a white moon-shaped face peeks in from around the corner. It surveys the room for a bit before ducking down and leaping out of sight when Elton turns around, at which point you can momentarily see some kind of weird body with short arms and legs. There is a chance that all of this could be edited, but before you immediately think this is fake, keep in mind that it was recorded in 2006, so pretty much all webcam videos looked grainy like this. If anything, this was a pretty high quality video for its time, especially considering YouTube was less than 2 years old when it was uploaded, so who knows what it could have been. A YouTuber named Dillionaire Vlogs is trying his hardest to summon a ghost, and he won't take no for an answer. First, he tries to command the supernatural by force, then he makes fun of them and does whatever else he can think of to get any kind of reaction.
Where the demons at, man?
This was taken in 2017 during Irma, and Dillionaire hopes that the electrified atmosphere will somehow help the spirit world connect with his own. Apparently it works. The camera falls over by itself, and a voice that sounds like Dillionaire clearly says, "I'm here."
Hello? Anyone here?
Dillionaire claims that he was possessed during this part, and made to say this against his will, though I'm not so sure about that. Then again, 134 people lost their lives during Irma, so it wouldn't really surprise me if one of them really did use his body as a conduit to say hello. Two creepy videos show how a normal-looking workplace break room is actually haunted when objects start moving on their own. The object looks like it's being pulled with a string, but then it falls over in the opposite direction like a ghost pushes it. The second creepy video, taken on a different day, shows a co-worker losing his mind when an apparent ghost moves more objects on their own. The hidden camera angle looks like this scary video could be a prank, like someone might have been making the objects move off camera in both videos. It's creepy though because according to them, no one else was there. What do you think about the scary things they've caught on tape? Is it paranormal? Who floats there? Published in March of 2009, this scary video is, as Tracy writes, absolutely petrifying. The group is filming up the stairs as they think someone's there. It's completely dark at first, but then someone turns on a flashlight. They capture what they think is two figures standing at the top landing. After a moment, a quick figure that's just a white light runs across the landing.
The light's only just gone across the top of the landing, and that's moving.
Tracy thinks it looks like a little baby. Well, our eyes can play tricks on us. Are all our eyes playing the same trick? This video, posted in July of 2008, claims to show something unknown on a foggy winter day. As some boys play on some random tubes in the forest, one of the boys points out something in the distance. The boy filming zooms in but doesn't at first capture whatever it was. The first boy says it must just be an animal that went into the woods. They decide to go after it. The cameraman captures a humanoid figure at a distance, which he believes to be a Yeti. Many in the comments of this video think it is legit, probably one of the most authentic videos I've seen. Icy Waterslide writes, "What do you think? Is this true footage of one of the most mysterious monsters on the planet? When something goes bump in the night, you just better hope you're not working the night shift." Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by MX Fear of Dogs. The Redditor writes, "Friend works for a pharmacy as security. He was notified the alarm was going off at 2 a.m., which is triggered by internal sensors. He arrived and found nothing wrong, but reviewed the footage to find the cause and saw this." He said this was the security guard's first encounter with the paranormal, if it is in fact paranormal activity. The footage shows a shelving unit pressed up against a wall, full of products and assumedly medicine. Watch the fourth shelf. Several items can be seen falling with force. One hits the ground and skids away out of sight. The other hits the ground and appears to break into 6 separate rectangular pieces. While most in the comments of this video are cracking pharmacy jokes, some are asking thoughtful questions about the history of the building, or whether or not something like this has happened in the past. Others who say they're pharmacists or caregivers claim this strange stuff happens all the time in their line of work. Allison333, however, gets the last laugh, writing, "I guess you can say they had a short shelf life." We see what you did there, Allison. This next video is very difficult to watch, but important to see. Blake Coatney has recently lost his brother Cody, and he feels he can no longer deal with the situation on his own. On top of that, he also recently broke up with his girlfriend after a serious relationship. His 8.5-minute video starts off pretty normal, and it sounds like he is just letting off some steam, until you realize that these are the last words of a man who decided to take his own life. Pay attention to what he says, because if you hear anyone else say something like this around you, then maybe you can get them help. He says that he doesn't want to feel anything anymore, which is a major red flag.
I don't want to feel like this anymore.
If you know anyone who strongly and overwhelmingly feels that their life has no purpose or direction for long periods of time without changing their minds,
I'm not doing anything with my life.
It could be another sign. Watching him say goodbye to his family makes this video incredibly saddening, but at the same time, his family posted this online in hopes that it will save someone else's child from saying these terrible words.
Mom, I just want to tell you I love you. Thanks for always being my best friend.
If someone you care about is feeling this way, don't wait to talk to them about it and get them help. Ask them questions and let them know that they are not alone. It could make all the difference. And if you are feeling the same way as Blake did, then please know there is help available. I suggest befrienders.org because they are a non-profit who offer worldwide resources. This CCTV footage shows a young woman hurrying down a flight of steps, only to find something waiting for her at the bottom of the stairwell. The shadowy figure turns towards her, and if you look closely, you can almost make out the circular white outline of a face. She bolts away and the apparition quickly pursues. If this video is real, then nobody knows what happened next, or if she even survived.
Alright guys, I'm gonna show you one of the reasons we hate this house.
There's a YouTuber named Not Your Average Wife, who apparently does not live in your average home either. Her dog Catherine absolutely refuses to go down the steps leading to their basement. Follow the dog's eyes because I think it might be seeing something down there that none of us can.
Catherine, come on baby. Come on pretty. Come on baby.
Not even a nudge from behind can convince Catherine to go down the stairs.
Come on Catherine.
And just to prove it's not a general fear of steps, they show her using different stairs without a problem. Maybe the dog almost fell down basement steps or something, and is now afraid of them. At least, that's the only non-paranormal explanation I can think of. And if it is paranormal, based on how Catherine is acting, it must be something sinister in that basement. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by KaneSweet2000. This Redditor wrote, "Hi all, we moved into a council house since January, and we had some very strange things happening. We have a vintage radio and it has been making some strange noises. The weird thing is there isn't any batteries inside it." Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about.
Finish.
There was certainly some debate about this video in the comments. Lechiflada wrote, "That's really strange." Well, GameCat UK wrote, "Where is the radio in the video? Do you have a picture? I have a feeling it's a rare example of an old semiconductor picking up on local radio waves, though the amplification is baffling. I think the radio is that thing in the bottom left corner at the 5-second mark. Which side are you on here? Let me know in the comments. We all know dogs can see ghosts, and often they're trying to protect us humans from them. Redditor Spectre Specs Dog did that just one morning. Here's the pup in action. The Redditor notes that the dog kept moving back and forth like he was watching something across the room. The Redditor explains in the comments that they lived here for about a year at this point, and the dog hadn't behaved this way either before or after. They also never had a rodent or bug infestation while there. While I can't say this footage should be taken as foolproof evidence that a ghost is adrift, I tend to believe that animals sense things that we don't, so I'd definitely be suspicious after witnessing this. While exploring the Mount Morris Mystery House, YouTuber Spirit Walk Paranormal tried to unlock the mystery. As one of the crew is explaining about the strange happenings in the house, something strange occurs right in front of them.
Second girl disappeared completely. The second girl disappeared completely.
And then another one.
While I'm talking to the guys, a strange anomaly appears in the top left corner of the frame and moves right in a strange manner. I don't think this is an insect because of the transparency, and dust normally shows up in a sphere-like shape. But I cannot claim this is paranormal.
I'd say that was probably dust, but some things are harder to explain, and more strange noises are heard.
Can you touch this, please?
The spirits apparently want to imprison them. Maybe so that they will have someone to talk to. What does this spirit want? It wants its presence to be known.
Here. There you are. Are you on my back right now? Can you get off? Can you get off, please?
But it also seems to be guiding them to something or to someone.
Can you come into this room?
Or maybe it's warning them.
Are you trying to get our attention to the attic?
Although some of these EVPs are a bit of a stretch, I think, others seem very distinct, I do think something is trying to communicate with the paranormal team in Mount Moore's mystery house, but who or for what reason is anyone's guess. If a tree falls on you in the forest and no one is around to hear you scream, do you make a sound? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Essex Haunted, the Redditor explains that in Puckley, Kent, UK, there is a forest known as Daring Woods, otherwise known as the Screaming Woods. Legend has it, those who have passed there haunt the place with their screams. Although Essex posted only a personal pic, he linked to a video of said forest, which was published to YouTube in September of 2016 by LC Play Z. In the distance, you can really hear horrifying screaming from the depths of the forest.
Oh my days. Should we scream back at her?
The man in the video asks if they should scream back, and maybe that's just what this is. Live people having screaming matches back and forth at each other from opposite sides of the woods. Or maybe, like the Redditor suggests, there's another natural explanation. Responding to whether it could be some species of wild cat, Essex writes, more likely to do with the ways the trees are very closely grown and the wind, although in a later comment he adds, I've spent 3 nights there. In the last 2 months filming, some of the noises are just, well, hard to explain. According to Essex Ghost Hunters, the village of Puckley nearby is also one of the UK's most haunted ghost towns. So, nature or ghosts, do you have a better explanation for this screaming? Most people have home surveillance cameras installed for a security measure, just in case somebody attempts to break into their house late at night or an unwanted visitor shows up. But Helen Brookshaw's home surveillance camera captured something much more terrifying than a burglar. It captured an unwanted visitor, but not the kind you'd think or hope for. Focus your attention on the upper left side here. So let's count 1, 2, 3 ghostly figures here. Not just 1, not just 2, but 3 in total. And they just seem to be moving in unison, sort of just back and forth in this circle here. And to add to this, it also looks like this happens at a graveyard because these appear to be tombstones. The people who own this surveillance system must live beside a graveyard. And that makes sense because the title of this video is Ghost on My CCTV in Graveyard Next Door. So the fact that not only did they capture 3 paranormal presences on camera, but the fact that this also happens at a graveyard, I think just adds to how bizarre and creepy of a situation this is. I can't even begin to imagine how creepy it would be to have your home so close to a nearby cemetery or graveyard, but that seems to be the case for Helen. What gives this video even more credibility is exactly that. The footage is filmed in a graveyard, which is obviously going to be populated with ghosts and paranormal entities. And in this particular video, it seems like there are at least 3 or maybe 4 of them moving around in a strange, almost glitchy manner. Who knows? Maybe these are the spirits of passed away people going to pay their other family members a visit. A ghost sighting in Jacksonville, Florida, leaves one man certain he has evidence of the paranormal.
It's not a tree.
A strangely human-shaped figure emits a strange glow. It could be pretty much anything from this far away. Approaching headlights against a tree comes to mind, but he's adamant that it's not a tree. He's too scared to drive any closer, so the video ends. I can't be the only one who wishes he would have gotten closer, but I understand why he wanted to get the heck out of there. 99% of us would have done the same, and if not, then I guess you're braver than most. A YouTuber named Ola Bible lives in the middle of the forest in Oregon, far away from civilization. So when he hears noises outside of his house late at night, he curiously pokes around his backyard with a camera to find the source. It isn't long before he comes across an object that looks out of place. It looks like it could just be a rock or something, but he's memorized this area well enough to know it's foreign in nature. He zooms in.
The heck is that?
Then he says something out loud to himself and draws unwanted attention.
Oh my god!
A thin humanoid creature cranes its impossibly long neck in his direction. Look closely and you'll even see a surprised expression on its face, almost as if it's been caught doing something secretive. I can't tell if it's feasting on an animal, or maybe even burying something in the ground. He spins around and runs away before we get a chance to figure out what it's doing for sure. I guess the video could just be special effects, but I can't tell for certain. Maybe a follow-up video taken during the day would give us more conclusive evidence. A YouTuber named Daniel finds a graveyard that is different than most others. It is in a bad state of disrepair, but beyond that, some of the graves are just plain missing.
Doesn't look like it's 6 feet deep either.
The graves could have simply been relocated, but if that were the case, then I think that the grave sites would have been filled back in. For some reason though, this graveyard has perfectly dug up graves with absolutely no evidence of a burial. There's no casket and no headstone. It's not like these plots were recently dug for a future burial either. Vegetation is slowly creeping back over them, and they are covered with a light bed of dry leaves. Whatever the explanation for the absence of these graves, one thing is for sure, clearly a lot of time has passed since they've been uncovered. A YouTuber named Black River Fossils is on the hunt for more evidence of a megalodon shark. He gets to do this once a week and he wants to make the most of this hobby on a rainy day in South Carolina. He goes out to a fresh clearing that has been sectioned off for digging. It isn't long before he finds a very small bull shark tooth, but this isn't enough to impress him, so he keeps searching. Then, sticking partially out of the mud from the fresh rains, he finds what he is looking for.
Please be whole, please be whole. Please, 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 please. Hello, nurse.
The gigantic black megalodon tooth is serrated on both ends, like the edge of a carving knife. Black River Fossils later measures the tooth and finds it to be a full 4.5 inches long. That's not the size of a full-grown adult tooth, but looking at it up close, I can only imagine the amount of damage that one of these juveniles can inflict on a human, let alone the thousands that megalodons were known to have. I did look up megalodon teeth online to verify this video, and sure enough they look exactly like this one. For those of you who are interested, megalodon teeth sell for about $600 on average. A YouTuber named Sweet Dreams is shooting off Roman candles in celebration of the 4th of July when a shrill scream pierces the night air.
Did you hear that?
You go first. It's a farm animal.
They track the noise for well over a minute until it becomes louder and more distinct. At the end of a short journey, standing a very close distance away, they discover the shrieking source hunched over and alone.
What is that? Dude, what is that?
He slowly backs away from the bent-over gray humanoid and then goes into an all-out run. The creature gives chase and Sweet Dreams turns around to find it swiping at him through the air. I can't tell if this is an actual humanoid or just one of their friends with makeup on, so I'll leave it up to you to decide. All of the other videos on his channel are just him playing video games, nothing else like this one. A man in India has caught some scary moments on video when this happens to him at 2:22 a.m. That could have been done with a string, but this wasn't.
What the?
Tell me if you think this was real or just acting, because it kind of looks like something paranormal actually might have done that to him. If insects aren't your thing, then this entry will highly test your bravery. This footage is of an insect swarm at the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. The uploader writes, "During our family holiday in 1996 or 7, we had parked the car and gone for a short walk up the cliffs. When we came back, we found that our car had become a hotspot for these giant wood lice, sea slaters. The clip shows piles upon piles of wood lice crawling around the car tires, an absolutely terrifying sea of insects, all coalescing beneath the vehicle. As the uploader says, probably attracted to its cozy comfiness. After seeing this, would you be brave enough to climb back in and leave? I thought not." After buying a cool LED hat for his daughter, this father took a short video to capture its glow, but he also managed to capture something mysterious in the background. Shared to TikTok by TikTok Paranormal. Watch the backhaul behind the baby. A small, dark, shadowy creature makes a mad dash past the doorway. What is this thing? It doesn't look human, and yet it doesn't look animal either. It appears to be running in a human-like way, so my best guess would be a goblin or elf of some kind. What do you think is going on here? A YouTuber named Nick Soup is barefoot water skiing when suddenly he finds one of the handles wrapped firmly around his throat. Look again in slow motion and you'll see exactly how this 1 in a million scenario unfolds. The handle drops into the water, shoots back into the air, and wraps perfectly around Nick's throat like a noose. Thinking fast, he rips the handle over his head while still hanging on. Had he let go and fallen into the water, he would have been dragged by the neck at high speeds. This video comes from a YouTuber named Kusun2. He's a college student with an original Xbox that has a very strange and unexplainable problem. Every time he is hanging out by himself, his console likes to turn itself on. This happens so often that Kusun2 decides to record it for evidence. The only problem is that this Xbox appears to be camera shy. He'll stare and stare at it and it won't do a thing. It only seems to turn on when he is doing something else, almost as if it's trying to distract him. Even now as he films his Xbox and explains his story, it refuses to turn on by itself and makes him look like a fool. After talking for about 5 minutes, Kusun2 finally decides to test his theory and leaves the room. The Xbox does nothing for a long time, but then keep in mind that there's no way to turn on an original Xbox remotely, and he always keeps his controller neatly wrapped up on the top of the system, so he can't be using a controller that's out of sight. On top of that, things have been regularly disappearing and reappearing on their own, and now Kusun2 is extremely creeped out about being alone. A YouTuber named Blake Smith's Gaming Blitz lives alone and often hears wearing sobs in his basement. He says that he is way too strapped for cash to afford a Bluetooth speaker, and that this is real. Take a listen for yourself. At 57 seconds into the video, the spirit seems to respond to his voice.
Hello? Hello?
He pokes around the corner, and sitting in the far corner of the room is a tiny entity made of light that kind of resembles a small child. I took a screenshot to better illustrate what I'm saying. The shape looks roughly symmetrical, and the head is looking directly at the camera. Luna Meow has a natural ability to communicate with the paranormal that she intends to explore to the fullest on her ghost hunting channel by the same name.
Guys, to turn on the flashlight that's next to me. Please. Do you think you can do that? How many of you were married when you... Okay. I don't like that. That's scary.
At 17 seconds, she appears to feel a presence draw near, and when she looks over her shoulder a second time, the flashlight is on. It doesn't look like anyone is nearby, at least nobody who is alive. The object just turns on by itself like a ghost touches it.
Turn the flashlight on.
They aren't interested in answering any more questions and simply turn the flashlight off without further interaction. Maybe they just wanted to let Luna know that they were here, watching. During a different investigation, Luna and some friends try to summon a spirit, and it just might have worked.
Oh, look at it, look at it.
Thank you. You know other people are here, aren't you? Don't you?
Does it make you happy?
But perhaps the creepiest video of all comes from the Omen House in Beverly Hills, California. This is where a nefarious group gained access to a famous celebrity's home, and she did not last against them for long. Their paranormal equipment detects the motion of a spirit nearby, though it could be detecting the movement of this ghost hunter picking up the K2 meter at 5 seconds. Still, if you look very closely, the K2 meter detects a spike of paranormal energy at the same time the motion sensors go off, and shortly thereafter this mysterious blue light sweeps across the room that they all swear was not a flashlight. I have my doubts about this until one of the team bangs a shelf and jumps up and down to demonstrate that all of the items on this shelf are stable, but as soon as he walks away, this object falls over by itself, something which apparently happens all the time.
Want to show them one more time? A final goodbye before they all leave? Or are you just gonna keep doing this? They're gonna jump.
The same exact object falls over all by itself. On one hand, the same object moving twice could be a sign of a ghost manipulating objects at will, but on the other hand, maybe this toy is simply unbalanced and falls over on its own a lot. Still, the fact that it happens while he is walking away seems to suggest that this is the work of a ghost with selective intelligence who wants attention. A father and his 2 children explore this abandoned house as a strange way to bond together, but I think it might have ended up ripping them apart. They cross into the dark kitchen and immediately hear a wild growl, followed by low whispers and a pair of glowing eyes. They are hurrying out of the house as fast as they can, but debris is everywhere, and they have to move slow. Just when they are about to leave, they find the way blocked by their absolute worst fears. The thin ghoul is barely reminiscent of a human. Its features wide and dark and taking up large portions of its face. Its eyes and nose are missing. Its mouth nothing more than a wide cavern, extending from cheek to cheek. Captured by a Ring camera, Redditor Hematospermia's neighbors woke up to this at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. First off, that mask is terrifying. Secondly, this masked intruder is not alone. I'm not sure why they're blocking the camera when they're already wearing masks, but obviously their intentions are nefarious, and this is soon confirmed by what they're carrying. The camera is blocked for the duration of the video, and there is no sound or explanation from the Redditor, so unfortunately, I don't know how this standoff ended, and this has left Redditors guessing. I too hope this is a viral marketing campaign, but I have a feeling it's all too real. A YouTuber named Stromedy continues to catch bizarre encounters on his drone. This time he drives out 3 hours to a random field to see what's out there. He and his friend Ashton are expecting to find bears, but instead they chance upon a man walking all by himself, who immediately breaks into a run through the snow upon being spotted. They follow him for over a minute while he tries to hide. Then, in an unexpected twist, he blasts the drone out of the sky.
I can even hear. How far away is that?
Yo, I think he hit it.
Yo, he just hit the drone,
bro.
Dude, what the?
It's black. It just went black.
Guys, the screen just went black.
The muzzle fire looks like it could be special effects, but let me know what you think. Stromedy believes that this man was trespassing and took out their drone to avoid getting followed and reported to police. If this is real, then they most likely will not be able to catch him because his face is fully covered and they never find his car or his hideout. This radio DJ is live on air when all of the lights go out. Some of his equipment is still on though, so this is not a normal blackout. He is all alone and doesn't know what to do, so he calls someone for help, probably a management at home or technical support. That's when a cloaked figure passes by the window and makes him put down the phone. He creeps to the window and looks down the hall. Whoever it was is already gone. The next call he makes, I'm sure, is to the cops. According to him, this radio station has very high-tech security that requires thumbprint authorization to get in. Nobody should have been walking around after hours, especially not somebody dressed in ancient robes with their head down.
What the heck?
What the heck?
Blake Newdorf is fishing with his dad on a pier in Kelowna, BC when he sees a giant creature off in the distance, at least 60 feet according to his estimate. Blake is sure that this is the famous Ogopogo Lake monster. Apparently, it has some kind of sharp scales, from what he says here at 1 minute and 13 seconds.
It looks like it has spikes.
The camera is not good enough to pick up much detail aside from a basic outline. I think it kind of looks like it could be a piece of driftwood, but I guess at 60 feet long it would have to be a whole tree. Whatever it is, it floats around the bend where the water channels into a small bay. According to Blake, when they went around the corner to follow it, it was suddenly gone. Unfortunately, by that point, they had for some reason stopped recording. If what they are saying is true though, then this couldn't have been driftwood. A YouTuber named JawGuy7 is hanging out at a creek when a mangy lone deer comes wandering up to them. I can't tell for sure, but I think it makes two strange noises that I have never heard come from a deer before. The deer calmly walks past them without any fear and goes to the river but does not drink. Eventually it turns towards them and gives him a cold blank stare. There seems to be no life or thought behind its eyes as it holds him in its gaze. Long strands of drool hang from its lips, indicating possible CWD. Obviously this creature is thirsty, but at the same time it lacks the cognitive facilities needed to take a drink. CWD has left it just smart enough to find a water source, yet far too gone to quench its thirst. Hopefully this was reported to Animal Wildlife Control so they could help the deer. The next time you're relieved to find yourself alone in an empty subway car, consider that maybe you're not alone at all. Published to YouTube in June of 2015, this clip shows a subway car that will give you the chills. A lone man sits aboard the haunted car. After watching the clip, we wonder if he's the sole passenger, because this car has a reputation for being haunted. Because look at this darkened window pane to the left. A scary, distorted face appears here, changing expression slightly as the man sits on the opposite side, completely unaware. The face disappears and the window pane goes black again, but the distortion later reappears, looking equally upsetting. What do you think is going on here? Is this an actual face in the window? Or just a trick of the light coupled with motion from the subway? While exploring this haunted house, the YouTube team from Dark Arts TV is being followed.
Come into this room. Footsteps coming in. Come into the room, come on, you.
They hear the sound of a voice, either a woman's voice or a baby's.
Do you know what it sounded like to me, that? It's like either baby sound.
Later in another room, something is moving next door.
No. Someone's just moved in there. Where do you want us to go to?
In yet another room, they hear more footsteps and a woman's voice again. They continue their investigation and hear something walking across glass in a different room.
Try to use the energy and make a loud sound. Or can you come down this corridor as fast as possible? Walk down it, into this room.
I heard it too, and I also hear a growl here, which the team doesn't appear to hear in the moment.
Maybe.
Judging by all this evidence, there's clearly something malevolent in this building, and it seems to be stalking them. I only hope they can shake whatever it is off when they leave this place. This footage was taken at the Chapelfield Mall in Norwich, UK. The mall is closed when a mysterious red balloon makes an appearance out of nowhere. As you watch this balloon float around on its own, keep in mind that the air conditioning was off, the escalator was off, and there is supposedly no wind blowing in from the outside. If all of this is true, then how exactly did the balloon move without any air currents? Even more bizarre is how the balloon stays low to the ground the entire time, almost at the height of a child. Could this balloon simply be half deflated, or is it being held by a youthful spirit? There's a face in the wall. Can you see it?
A face in the
The eyes are wide and black, and the face is a little more than a tiny frown. Then, after 1 minute and 5 seconds, I think I see a hand appear. They say it looks like the face of a girl, but the youngest daughter swears up and down that she had nothing to do with it.
She wasn't there last time. She never went, no.
And when, just for fun, they ask the face on the wall if it is the spirit of someone young or old, they get a weird response.
Put a light if you're a young girl.
So is this really a spirit, or just an imprint left behind of a child who stuck their face against a dirty wall? This dashcam video originates from somewhere in Russia. A large truck swerves out of the way of something invisible, narrowly missing oncoming traffic in the process. Then a pedestrian suddenly appears from behind the truck and calmly walks away like nothing happened. The uploader of this video is sure that this is a ghost, and assuming this video is not CGI, I would have to agree. Slow the video down and you can clearly see how nothing is in the truck's path at first, and then the person instantly appears only after the truck has passed. It's almost as if the truck has passed straight through them. Jinn. YouTuber Hassan Barbar is dealing with a very aggressive jinn in this scary video. First, he hears it hissing. He pursues the jinn throughout the abandoned place, but it manages to keep just out of sight. But he's painfully close. There is sound around every turn. but as of yet, no sign of him. That is until...
السلام عليكم مرحبا ماله هيك اخوان هذا
He gets closer and closer to it until it vanishes.
شي وراي يا اخوان شايفين بتحرك طلع كيف بتحرك يمه تعال ليش هربت؟
Where did the jinn go? Wherever it went, I hope it didn't take our souls with it. Number 6. A YouTuber named 614 Life has a massive blockage in his shower drain, and now the water will barely go down. To fix this, he uncaps the drain and sticks a long plastic tool down the hole in search of the problem.
Oh, this is disgusting. Okay.
In less than 10 seconds, he is pulling up glob after glob of wet hair that is probably already weeks old.
There we go, yeah. Now that we're getting down in there, we get all the way down. As far as I'll let you go.
The clog looks thick and full to begin with, but as he gets to the meaty center, the situation gets out of control until finally he finds himself ripping up huge chunks with an actual pair of pliers. The section is probably months old and gives him a lot of resistance.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my god.
And if you haven't already almost lost your lunch, he picks up the mess with his bare hands to give you a closer look, then he drops it with a sickening wet slap.
This is hair.
This person's nails are just long enough to produce one of the most stressful sounds ever recorded. If you somehow are able to keep from cringing from stress at what I'm about to show you, consider me impressed. Worst of all, judging by these claw marks seen at the very beginning of the video, I think they tend to enjoy making this noise all of the time. A YouTuber named Phoenix is alone in the woods trying to record nature sounds for an ASMR channel when everything goes wrong in the scariest way possible. A scary loud scream from deep in the woods has Phoenix running and later wondering what this unknown creature could be. No native animal makes that sound, he says, though for some reason it kind of sounds like a goose or something like that, and there's water nearby before the scream occurs, so a bird could be exactly what this mysterious creature is. Tell me if you know what kind of scream this was, and how much danger was Phoenix really in during this scary moment. You may be a skeptic, but if you had to choose a place with all the makings of a haunting, it would probably be a hospital. After all, hospitals are the setting in which many souls depart this earth and enter the afterlife, whatever that may be, but sometimes it seems they stay. Published to YouTube in February of 2020, this clip is part of a series of clips entitled The Haunted Hospital Case. The footage shows a hospital that appears to be empty. A trash can stands in the corner and its lid starts to flip repeatedly. The lid doesn't appear to be mechanical, so who or what is causing it to rotate? But it's not just the lid. Watch beyond. A paranormal figure jogs past. The figure seems to be in the shape of a young girl, however she is entirely cast in shadow, apart from a small blip of white sneakers. Do you think this might be one of the aforementioned souls? If so, where is she running off to? Or what is she running from? When the passed on are literally beneath your feet, you're bound to step in something. Published to YouTube by Exploring with Eric in May of 2020, Eric visits a graveyard at 3 in the morning in his new series, The Devil's Hour. My objective is to document all sorts of evidence that relates to the paranormal world, whether it be poltergeist activity, any shape or form of apparitions, etc., by using my basic ghost hunting equipment. In this series, you will see myself investigate alone. During the first episode, he gets more than he bargained for. While in the cemetery, Eric finds a mausoleum. After hearing a loud knock during a spirit box session, the glass door closes. He then says he heard someone's voice and he hopes there's no one here messing with him. Just as he decides no one's there after wandering around the premises, he hears footsteps.
I'm gonna go ahead and show you exactly where I want to show you.
He runs up the stairs to the second floor to see who is there, but there's no one. He notices that the doors are open to the outside. As he shows his viewers a fountain in the middle of the mausoleum, he hears footsteps again. He returns to the inner mausoleum, where the doors are again closed. Finally, he decides to leave and it's standing outside, saying he'll return again at some point. But as he pans around, a large shadow figure moves behind a nearby tree.
It's too much for me right now to handle, and like...
What was that? Is that what's been watching him? It's probably time to say goodbye. YouTube channel Paranormal Nightmare TV series takes a location tour of Bridgeport Manor, and they soon encounter the manor's mysteries as the tour guide shares that a man passed away of a heart attack in this room. Listen closely.
He said, well, we want to go talk to Lester James. He says, it's me.
What was that voice?
We'll go talk to Lester James. He says, it's me.
One of the crew even hears it in the moment.
Who was that?
What'd you hear?
A male voice.
Later, as they're capturing video in the building, several noises are heard.
Hear it?
Dude, that vibrated the whole building.
House voice.
Somebody's got to be here.
Although they didn't find anyone there, they hear more haunting proof later.
It was like it answered you.
If you can see or hear us, hit something and give us a sign of your presence.
Oh, alarm.
They hear one of their paranormal devices go off on the second floor.
Keep your left a little bit rocking.
Who keeps setting our alarm off in the cell?
They receive no answer until the demon talks directly to them through the spirit box.
We heard you walking. Is that you?
Do you want to play?
Oh, yes, I want to play.
And it seems the demon does.
Did you just touch me?
I think there is enough evidence here to suggest this place does house some ghosts or demons, but whether or not they just want to play is anyone's guess. YouTuber named Tracy is recording a video at the Hedingham Castle in England while on vacation with her husband. The voices and footsteps of other visitors easily carry throughout the castle, but it's just good acoustics, and they are not nearly as close as they sound. Anyway, look what happens while Tracy is standing motionless next to her husband in a large room all by themselves.
Sure, but I think I just saw a shadow walk across the wall.
A shadow clearly passes across the wall in front of them, but as Tracy pans the room, you can see that no one else is present. None of the windows or entrances completely line up, yet the shadow looks very human in nature and appears to be coming from directly behind them. This next video shows that even a zip line is in perfect condition. With flawless equipment is never truly safe. Sometimes things just go wrong. A giant gator pops up to try and snag this instructor out of the air. There is a decent amount of space between the two, but I'm sure it was plenty close enough if you asked her. And she definitely knows what waits for her should she ever make a future mistake and fall in. So I guess the final and most important lesson of ziplining over water is to always keep your legs up, because you never know what's lurking below the surface waiting to take a chomp. If you encounter a child spirit, be wary. Posted to Facebook by the most haunted places in Pakistan in August of 2019. This video is actually based in Thailand and surrounds the mythological spirit of Gongoi. The dark-haired sprite is said to be humanoid and child-sized. She hops around on one leg and screams out Gongoi, which is the source of her name. This video purportedly shows that creature at the edge of a Thai field in the darkness of night. You at first see the figure's dark hair as it's still and hunched over near the grass, but then it appears to become alert to the presence of others nearby as it stands up and starts hopping away on its single leg. If you're watching this video after 10 p.m., your nightmares will probably be populated by strange Dali-esque creatures like these. Hopefully they're not running towards you. Things are about to get creepy on this CCTV video taken from a restaurant somewhere in China. A man looks in the cooler and decides to help himself to something else. A while later, he takes a seat near a woman who's looking the other way. 26 seconds is when he looks over and then he goes for it, taking something in her jacket, probably a purse, and walking straight out the door. He's fumbling around for quite some time and likely has to undo a button or two to abscond with her belongings. If only she had turned around the other way, he would have been caught in person and not just on camera. For those of you who think this isn't a scary video, try getting stranded in another country with no passport, money, credit cards, or phone. That's a situation only for the brave if I've ever heard one. Someone's always gotta ruin the party. Posted to TikTok by Suntu Kajasi. This group took a bunch of photos at a waterfall in Indonesia, but one pic turned out much creepier than the rest. As the group poses before this beautiful falls, a black-robed figure is spotted, lurking in the background. You cannot see its face, but it seems to be watching them. What is this figure doing? And did it lose their life in these falls? I guess we're left with more questions than answers for this one. Over on the r/ghosts subreddit, a user named CamSunkissed shares a video of a home surveillance recording on his front porch while a pizza delivery driver drops off the order at the house. Seems fairly normal right now, but this simple pizza delivery turns into something much more terrifying in just a matter of seconds. Very clearly, you can just hear somebody's voice. It's almost like a whisper, and it doesn't seem to catch the pizza delivery man's attention. It's just very bizarre and out of place here. I'll just play it one more time. Just listen very, very closely. Amazingly, it doesn't even seem as if the pizza delivery driver even hears anything, so maybe this bizarre sounding voice was only audible once listening to the recording and not in person. That would definitely explain why the driver has no reaction whatsoever as soon as the voice starts speaking, but I would like to imagine that if he did hear it, he would be a little bit freaked out and would probably quickly drop the order off and leave immediately. One commenter says it sounds like perhaps Spanish, and he thinks the voice could be saying, "Do you listen to me?" Of course, this is just speculation, so take it with a grain of salt, but either way, this is one voice you certainly wouldn't want to hear on your security camera. A YouTuber named Will Rubio explores the inside of an old Utah jail with some friends to see what's left behind. Everybody is in high spirits and one of them laughingly gets inside of the cell to recreate what it must have been like to be locked up. All of them are debating whether or not this is a working lock on the door when they find out the answer by accident.
Is there any lock on it?
You think?
No, I think it's a magnet.
Holy
You're joking.
I'm not kidding.
As they fumble around the darkened area trying to find the controls, he struggles to get out and soon discovers the doors are as strong as ever.
Why?
Finally, just as true panic creeps in, they manage to unlock the cell and set their friend free. Otherwise, they would have probably had to call emergency services and would have gotten in serious trouble. What we don't know can't hurt us. Maybe. Published to TikTok by John Vasquez, he writes, "Caught on my cousin's trail cam, proof that there is something out there that we don't know about. A small buck is captured in the forefront of the shot, while behind him in the forest, a very strange looking creature passes by. It looks like a multi-tiered stack of pumpkins. The buck seems disturbed by the presence behind him as he quickly turns around and walks a few steps to peer beyond the bush." While many in the comments note that the buck obviously sensed it, a TikTok user notes the creature is something best left alone. That's probably the best advice. This video is of what appears to be a parent filming their child looking into a mirror. Everything initially seems like a normal clip, but things soon take a dark turn as the child turns to look at the parent, but his reflection does not follow. If you look closely, the boy's eyes in the reflection are now pure black momentarily, followed by bizarre head movements until the reflection once again matches the boy. This either has to be paranormal or elaborate editing. I'm leaning more towards the paranormal due to the sporadic head movements of the reflection, because it appears too fluid to be edited. Either way, I'm pretty confident you will regret having to look into a mirror after seeing this video. What happens when the next generation wants nothing to do with the family property in the middle of nowhere? Published by Jordan Sovis, Jordan and Chris explore a house that's been abandoned out in the country for a couple of years. They crawl under the garage door and jimmy their way in using a credit card. Inside, they find a lovely piano for the ghost pianist to play. And while searching the place, they spot someone outside.
Dude, there's a dude outside. What? Hasn't this place been abandoned for like ever?
Is this the home's caretaker? Or something else entirely? Using a pendulum, they start asking the ghosts questions. They ask if they're in good spirits, and they're told no. Later, they ask the spirits if they can make their presence known, and the spirit answers,
"Are you present with us here in this house?"
As they start to panic, the ghosts don't let up.
Did that seriously just happen?
Calm down, calm down. What is going on? Was that you?
For some reason, even after all of that, the guys stay. They again ask if there are spirits here, and this time the spirits reply with a song. The piano keeps playing, even after they've raced out of the house.
No way, dude. Dude.
No way. Did that piano just seriously play by itself?
Do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
Still, they return. The piano continues to play, and then this happens. Not long after, the ghost goes full-on poltergeist. Now we can see why this home was abandoned in the first place.
What was it? Go. You go first, man.
I don't want to be in this place.
I don't want to.
Straight up.
Holy dude, what?
Why are you laughing right now? Seriously.
What is going on? I'm delirious.
This is one of the more popular videos that many people feel is clear evidence of Bigfoot. The video looks a little too blurry for me to be sure, but I don't recognize this scene from any movie or television series, so it could very well be real. If it is real, however, my only question is why this 5-second clip is so short. Maybe this person became afraid for their life when spotted and abruptly ran for cover. EVPs were captured through a live radio during a live stream by YouTube team Ghost Adventures of Cornwall, and these things are eerie.
See, who's not laughing? Who are you? I'm laughing again. Who are you?
First the word heaven is heard, then the laughter. A moment later it says the words proper demon.
Was that you? Proper demon? What?
But here's where it gets truly creepy.
Yeah.
This game, your nails.
Skin and the nails? What?
Skin and nails? Does this demon of Cornwall want your skin and nails? I think it does, and it might be taking your soul with them. When your dog sees something you don't, their harrowing sixth sense can send chills down your spine. That's what happened to TikToker Alpha Ocean 22, who writes, "I live alone and just found out about the previous owner." Alpha Ocean's footage begins abruptly with her dog barking into the darkness.
What? What are you barking at? Oh, God.
The dog is on high alert, his body language that of defense. He seemed growling and springing across the bed. Needless to say, the animal's reaction to whatever lies beyond terrifies its owner to no end. In a follow-up video, Alpha Ocean explains exactly what happened in the initial footage.
From Diesel essentially growling at nothing physical. I'm definitely not in a position to say what it was in the video or what is real and what's not. Personally, I've always been real spiritual, so I know what I felt.
She says she was woken up at 1 in the morning from her dog Diesel, growling at nothing physical. She explains that she's in no position to say exactly what it was that Diesel was growling at, though it was the first time the dog has acted this way. She, however, has always been spiritual and felt something in the home. She claims this wasn't the first time something unusual like this has happened to her. She calls the home her wildlife sanctuary, but says she's had some sense for a while that she's not supposed to be there. She discovered from neighbors that the owner of the home was a very closed-off man who lived alone with his mother who passed away. Alpha Ocean states she'll leave the rest up to the viewer's interpretation. So how do you interpret this? Do dogs have a sixth sense? And if so, did Ocean's pet perceive the presence of the homeowner's dearly departed? Or was this dog sensing something else? I guess we'll never know for sure. It's late at night and YouTuber Molly the Leg is the only car on the road. When he sees something that doesn't make sense, follow the curvature of the road and look in the distance to see it.
What was that?
What?
What? I saw somebody on a bicycle or something like that.
Up ahead, Molly the Leg sees a bright light cross the road and then suddenly disappear. What's also strange is how the street lights start flickering when this happens. He has no idea what the moving light was. It couldn't have been a car because there was nowhere for vehicles to go but straight. Molly the Leg even used Google Maps to verify this. So I'm at a complete loss. If you find yourself being chased while in an abandoned building, the best step is to leave. Instead, this man found himself stalked into a corner. Published in November of 2021 by Paranormal My, demons instantly make their presence known in this creepy abandoned building. As the cameraman is gazing up at the multi-storied complex, glass is heard breaking off to the side. He goes to investigate but finds nothing. In the stairwell, another loud noise is heard up above. It's not clear where the noises are coming from, but it certainly makes the neon green lit stairwell even more ominous. As the night grows darker, something throws a bunch of torn up sheets from an upper floor. A creepy being dressed in white and with bleach white hair is seen above. It peers down at the cameraman for a moment but then pulls out of view. Who knows what this entity's intentions may be? Later, while in another dark stairwell, footsteps are heard down below ascending. The cameraman captures a shot of the lower floors, and a scary obscure shadow can be seen on the landings below, making its way upwards. The footsteps become louder and more rapid, giving everyone, except apparently the cameraman, the ultimate chills. As our hearts beat faster and faster, at last, there's a shot of the culprit. It looks like a man without a shirt, wearing white pants. He's holding a flashlight, though likely not paranormal. There's something even creepier about this scary stalker, because as we all know, running into a stranger can end up much worse than running into a ghost. It's late at night, well past closing hours, when the St. George's Theatre in Norfolk catches this mysterious disturbance on CCTV. It starts as small movements in the very corner of the far window, so slight at first that you hardly notice it's there until it leaves, only to return again and dart down the hall. At 28 seconds, it stops to look in through another window for 4 more seconds, then it's gone for good. Think you know the volatility of a poltergeist? Think again. Published by C's Crazy Crossroads, the YouTuber writes, "A rock comes off of the piano towards me. Absolutely insane capture. It is at the 2:47 mark. Apparently, this YouTuber hadn't caught the absolutely creepy capture until his viewers pointed it out to him after watching his original video, which is certainly surprising, as the paranormal behavior is quite obvious and alarming. As he walks through an abandoned church at night, a rock clearly comes flying at him from a nearby piano. You can see the rock actually fling towards him and ricochet off something behind him. Who or what threw this rock at Crazy Crossroads? I'd wager it was something or someone straight out of a nightmare." A man in Indonesia goes exploring the most haunted places of his home country to unlock supernatural myths of a different official nature, hence the channel's name. Out here, the ghost world has formed communities deep in the rainforest. He knows this place well and senses one near.
Allahu Akbar.
Standing before him is an eerie apparition that gives me anxiety, like something has gone wrong. The paranormal exploration does not end with him running away. He has become strangely at ease around them, less terrified over time, or maybe okay with them all along.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu la ilaha illallah.
After a little more exploring, our adventurer finds a second spirit and does not come as near. He might be afraid, but I think he's simply respecting their space. I did some research and this creepy video looks like a possibly real ghost sighting of a Pocong spirit, seen mostly in Indonesia and Malaysia. It's said that the spirit's appearance under the shroud depends on the current state of their physical body. In other words, if he were to look underneath, he would see how rotten they were, but he dares not do such a thing. These are his ancestors, and he might have wanted to show us that there are real ghost videos on the internet if you know where to look, and that a ghost haunting the woods doesn't automatically mean it's one of the scariest places in the world. It's a really good point, but this scary video's got me freaked out nonetheless. Even ghosts are trying to go to college. Published to YouTube by Philip Potgieter in March of 2016, this freaky school video was captured at Helpmaker College in Johannesburg, South Africa. The footage shows a phantom figure gliding down the hallway at around 11 at night. It edges towards a wall and merges into what we can assume is a classroom to the right. The figure disappears without further explanation. Is this ghost just heading to its next night class, or does it need help from Helpmaker to cross into the beyond? On the other side of this fence is nothing but miles of vast wilderness. Exactly what lurks beyond this point is anyone's guess, but apparently something huge and hostile has been regularly coming into the backyard of a YouTuber named Big Dill for some reason, possibly in search of its next meal.
But what happens is this creature comes up against this fence and it jumps this fence. And it was standing, we think, right in this where I'm standing right now.
Literally 2 seconds later, this wild and hungry howl fills the night.
But I'm getting this footage, and did you just hear that?
Now here's the part that's really unsettling. You probably didn't see it at first, but a pair of glowing eyes are without a doubt watching him from the trees. Maybe they were the very eyes of the beast itself, as it changes his way while making that hideous, inhuman scream. Sylvian Nicholas has a motion sensor camera that turned on momentarily to catch this strange airborne entity, as indicated by the green box. Take a look again in slow motion and tell me if this was a spirit orb, a giant speck of dust, a bug, or something else altogether. YouTuber Lomar Mendez and his team investigate a haunted funeral hall in this scary video. In the hall, they find a lift that was used to carry the bodies.
Wait, what? They used to use the bodies to... Whoa.
Literally like a casket-sized lift, you see?
Oh yeah.
It goes up there, and then...
They also find a casket.
This is what I was talking about. Chelsea's getting some photos, but there's a casket in here. Is it the chairs are still on?
Angelo feels a tug on his backpack.
It literally felt like I felt as if something was grabbing the bottom of my backpack and just like slowly pulling.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Nearby, they discover a strange collection of stickers.
It's like,
oh, what?
Stickers of Jesus. Oh, there's a bunch of
It's
them.
a little weird.
That was these donor cards.
Yeah.
Organ for transplant.
Like a giant pine cone.
Then Chelsea hears something in the other room.
Listen.
What?
Listen, there's like a noise.
Where?
Coming from behind me. Hear that?
When they go to investigate, Angelo feels something touch him again.
Someone touched you?
Like, as if like something like, you know when somebody like flicks you like that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like.
I don't think it could be that. That's a different feeling, you know?
They ask the spirits who did it.
Can you tell us who touched Angelo? Oh, that said hello.
Dead.
Hello.
Who's here with us right now?
And they eventually find out his name.
Rick. Is your name Rick? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
As they get ready to head upstairs, Chelsea hears another noise.
What? You okay? What?
There's a noise.
What did you hear?
It's like a tap on the wall.
Oh. I did just ask for a knock.
Did you?
Yeah.
Back at the coffin, they examine it further, look closely at the Polaroid.
So like
It's a
photo?
It's a Polaroid, but it's like faded.
Yeah, there's
right?
honestly.
Many YouTubers in the comments see a creepy figure in this picture. Do you see it too? Shortly after, they hear something.
You didn't hear that? It's like a thud from above us.
I didn't hear that.
We did ask him to follow us.
And later, on the second floor, they find an overhanging lantern swinging on its own.
This is moving. We were all in separate rooms. Do you think it could be the wind?
Is something following the crew around this funeral home? I agree with what Angelo said earlier. You'd almost hope that whatever is stalking them is a spirit, not something alive. Forests at night are innately creepy, but this one just got creepier. Published in October of 2006 by The Ghost Hunter, she writes, "What appears to be a spirit moving amongst the trees in this surveillance video, taken by amateur ghost hunters. The footage shows a ghostly, transparent figure moving through the trees from the right side of the shot to the left, gliding amongst the trees. It then vanishes into the darkness. Many in the comments suggest the ghost is too tall and thus this video must be fake, but Ghost Hunter writes, despite comments on this, I would approximate that the apparition is about 6 feet tall, as the tree on the right is about 20 feet. What do you think this figure is? If not a ghost, then what?" One thing's for sure, it's definitely something you should keep the lights on for. Next time you're wandering through a forest, look out for the trees. They might just be hiding duppies. Posted to YouTube by Javahan Ferguson in January of 2020. This video purports to show proof of a duppy caught in a tree. What's a duppy? Meaning ghost or spirit. The concept originated in Central Africa. Caribbean folklore in particular grasped onto the supernatural nature of the duppy. Many residents in fact claim to have seen them. The malevolent spirits appear most often at night and are meant to haunt the living. In the video, the so-called duppy woman appears to somehow be perched atop a tree. She is waving to someone or something beyond. If not something supernatural, how is this woman managing to stand or float atop a tree like this? And if she is a duppy, what imaginable malice does she intend to induce? This footage was reportedly taken on a flight somewhere over Zambia. A person is casually recording out their window when a giant humanoid creature starts to materialize in the distance. The creature seems to keep pace and ride alongside them for a moment before disengaging and twisting away. The obvious answer to this is CGI. If it's not CGI, however, then what this creature could be is anyone's guess. Founded in 1969, MUFON is a collection of possible sightings caught on tape by civilians across the world. The organization examines unexplainable events in the sky to help make sense of them, but over the years there's been a lot of strange sightings caught on video, too many to make sense of. Some scary things in the sky were caught on camera in the UK from 2015 to 2018, and they look kind of like the same sighting. The first sighting occurred over London on July 5th, 2015. A person was drinking tea while looking at the sky when they noticed that one of the birds flying overhead was not a bird at all. They adjust the camera and watch this strange aircraft poke through a cloud before it disappears. Compare this video to another strange sky sighting in the UK in October of 2018 that was uploaded 3 years later. They caught it on tape, but the camera is shaky. Still, despite the video being shaky, it still does look like the same round black dot as the other sighting, and the object moves at roughly the same rate of speed. I was thinking these could be experimental drone videos or something along those lines, but then, on January 9th, 2017, we finally get to see the mysterious aircraft get a closer look, and it just makes everything even more unexplainable. These scary things were seen in the sky at night, hanging low over a building in Gosport, UK, close to where the other videos were taken. I know this isn't a drone video, because it starts out as one light and within seconds it splits into two.
We've now come back, two of them now back.
One moment the lights in the sky are white, then they come back as blue. The mysterious lights disappear over the buildings as they slowly sink towards Earth, and that's the last anyone's seen of them for years. So there you have it, 3 unexplained events caught on camera over the UK skies that could be related and never have been solved. Claire Julian has a guest over when they both notice her paper dragon wall ornament is swaying slightly. Zoom in and you'll see the very bottom swings back and forth, hardly noticeable unless you really were looking. There's no draft and the air conditioner is not on. They aren't sure what to make of it, so Claire half-jokingly challenges the ghosts to do better, which I'm not so sure was a good idea.
You have to do better than that. Thank you.
I was thinking that this movement could have been the minute hand of the clock hanging behind it, but Claire says that this clock doesn't work anymore, and now that I think about it, I didn't hear any ticking. Therefore, I think Claire probably has a poltergeist in her home, one that she should stop challenging. Is this a real witch crawling toward her would-be victims? YouTuber Mangle Marassing thinks so. This old woman is captured creeping along a dirt road toward the camera in the middle of the night. Others are shouting at her, and she is shouting back. And her manner is truly upsetting. If she's not a witch, I do think she is something not of this world. I mean, just look at those eyes. Caden Parker meets up with some friends at a local skate park and finds someone much older trying to pick arguments with everyone he sees.
Big man! Who's big man? You, right? I'm going for a sleeper.
Dude, come on. Can you just leave us alone? We're just trying to have a good time, enjoying the nice weather. Like,
who cares? I'm going for a sleeper.
Soon he turns his attention towards Caden and tells him he's going to put him in a submission hold if he comes down from the ramp. By now the skate park has mostly cleared out, so it's just a face-off between Caden and this angry stranger.
Dude, the police are on the way. I hope you know that.
I hope so.
We have a
I didn't solve
individual at the
skate park,
and he's kind of picked fights with little kids.
All right then. Might as well make it worth it.
Yo, tell him to send an officer ASAP.
An officer shows up right before things get any more out of hand. I really don't think this is a fake video because the officer walks up and puts him in cuffs straight away. Apparently, he has a long history of doing this and nobody seems to be acting. After he's taken away, the park fills back up with people who are scared away. Caden Parker shows a lot of bravery standing up for them, as well as self-restraint by not stepping forward when challenged. Had this escalated, he could be in as much trouble as the person who is actually in the wrong. He did everything right in my opinion, and is allowed to enjoy the rest of his day peacefully as a result.
Oh my god, this is so gross. I'm trying to look it up everywhere and I really can't identify it because it looks so weird and different.
A YouTuber named Supa Tanks has a creepy unwelcomed guest in her aquarium and needs our help figuring out what it is. Someone commented that this looks like a highly toxic centipede that fell in, but Supa Tank thinks that this might be an aquatic-based life form responsible for eating her shrimp. I agree with the giant insect theory because of its many legs and cylinder-shaped body, but maybe it's an exotic parasite or something even worse. Let's help solve this mystery and put her mind at ease with a correct answer. Has anything creepy ever turned up on one of your home videos? YouTuber Tink spotted something that stood her hair on end while watching hers back. See if you can spot it. Did you see it? Something scurries past beyond her shoulder to the left. Watch closely. Let's see it again, more slowly this time. Tinks says she was home alone at the time. I feel like it moves too quickly to be anything of this dimension. Is it something from another world? Let me know what you think in the comments. A man is deep in the forest of Malaysia, looking for supernatural forces that he should probably best leave alone. All he has with him is a flashlight and a camera when he's caught in the presence of something paranormal.
Subhanallah, 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 subhanallah.
He records in the direction he feels the most watched and captures this freaky face between the trees. Once spotted, things go even more wrong in a scary way.
Aku nak sangat berjumpa dengan kau. Apa nama gue? Apaan po eh?
When his light comes back on the face is even closer. A still image taken at 2 minutes and 42 seconds shows what I'm talking about. The upper half of a scary man who I think could be of the spirit realm. Have you ever gotten physically ill from watching paranormal footage? Redditor Minimum Session 4039 has, and this is the piece that made them sick.
Been doing this all morning and I don't have time for this today. Stop. Hey buddy, I got too much going on. You gotta cut it out. Oh. Okay.
After setting the camera down, the activity only gets creepier.
I asked if you gotta go or you gotta come downstairs or something. Wherever you're gonna go, you gotta go. Calm down.
You can see a distinct shadow figure standing halfway down the stairs. This is clearly the culprit who's opening and shutting the door.
He's okay. Please, not today. Just, holy cow.
There is definitely a ghost that likes mischief. I don't think this is at the level of burn the house down yet, but I would be keeping an eye on this playful phantom. This terrifying capture is shared by YouTuber Faces of the Forgotten. This is not a video. It's a photograph of the scene of an accident in which an apparition appears above the vehicle and it looks like it's screaming. The YouTuber shares the photograph in question. Some believe it's the screaming soul of the accident's victim. In fact, it does very much look like that individual. Is this photographic evidence of a soul leaving its body? The individual was only 16 years old when he lost his life. While this could have been photoshopped, as some are suggesting in the comments, this story gives me goosebumps, and the image does look pretty convincing to me. What do you think? Jamaica. Well, in Jamaica, YouTuber Kalani Ghost Hunter woke up with the feeling that someone was watching him, so he decided to test this feeling.
Anybody there? Can you make one of the lights flash? Oh. What the f... No way!
I think that's a clear yes.
Is anybody there? Can you make one of the lights flash? Or... Oh!
Some say the ghosts in Jamaica are particularly cruel and dangerous. If I were Kalani, I'd watch my back. Number 4. When police officers stopped to assist a car that had broken down on the side of Southeast Loop 820 in Forest Hill, Texas, they probably weren't thinking this was a super risky call, but they'd be wrong, as the 3 police officers and 2 motorists awaited a tow truck, lights flashing, a vehicle sped at top speed towards them, completely out of control, and they nearly didn't notice until it was too late. You can see in the video that the group is oblivious to what is about to happen until one officer spots the vehicle flying in their direction, just in time to throw the group out of harm's way. The car sideswiped one police car, slammed head-on into another, and barely avoided the broken down vehicle and all the people milling around on the shoulder. After plowing through, the rogue vehicle ricocheted back into traffic, but then returned to the roadside, where it screeched to a halt. When the car stopped, police hurried to remove the driver. Unsurprisingly, 26-year-old motorist Cedric Keith Henson Jr. had been drinking and was detained at the scene. Although no one was hurt, they very well could have been. The last place you want to hear screaming is in a cemetery, in the darkness of night. That's what YouTuber Thrills heard when he was visiting Fox Island Cemetery, which is said to be haunted by a man in black. As they first enter the cemetery, they hear an unexplained hissing noise.
I will say the other camera is a lot easier to hold.
What the heck is that?
It's not, yeah, not, I hear that too.
And soon the screaming starts.
Did you hear it again? Yeah, I just heard it.
After moving along, they hear the screaming a second time.
What is this right there?
I definitely just heard something, yeah.
And then a third directly after.
I definitely just heard something, yeah.
While this might be a wild animal or someone just hollering for the fun of it, it could also be the legendary Man in Black. I think he might just be toying with them. Are apps the best method by which to gauge the paranormal around us? Published by QTube in August of 2021. These guys are freaking out after seeing something sitting in a chair in their home via an app filter. They note that another chair nearby looks completely normal, but when scanning the chair next to it with the filter, it's red hot with energy.
And this chair isn't.
Look, this one's fine, but you go on this chair, someone is sitting on this chair, guys.
They're sure that someone is sitting in this chair. Is technology finally allowing us to engage with the invisible energies around us, or is the filter just glitching? I think they should try using a thermal camera in this room. It might just reveal more than what we saw here. This couple is dedicated to, as their description states, the search of paranormal activity in places with terrifying histories. As is sometimes possible when investigating, ghosts have followed investigators to their homes, and they believe someone they made contact with on a previous investigation did just that. On January 21st, 2021, they hosted a live stream to document what they believed was a haunting in their home. Hoping to document evidence and find answers, they invited the public to join on their session. The first half of the investigation seems to produce little results, but something rather disturbing appears as they venture down the stairs. Through a glazed window overlooks the stairs, the figure of a woman can be seen staring towards the camera. At first glance, it can be easily mistaken for a painting, but when inspecting it closer, you can see there is actual 3D depth to it, something a painting would be impossible to have. The figure looks either like a woman with long dark hair or someone wearing a robe. To further prove it is not a painting, the same window is shown a few minutes later and the figure is gone. Furthermore, they venture outside to show the other side, and it is several feet above the ground, making it impossible for anyone to get up there without a ladder. Nothing around the window resembles the figure, as it has simply vanished. As they descend further down the stairs, an orb can be seen flying fast across the top left corner of the screen. Once they reach the bottom step, a loud, low exhale can be heard.
La esfera.
The sound is too low pitched to be either of the couple, as we could hear them breathe beforehand and it doesn't match. It is also possible it was the sound of something sliding, although we cannot see what or if anything moves. Unfortunately, the remainder of the video becomes uneventful and other apparent orbs can be easily explained. For example, while they are filming a mirror, a glowing orb-like spectacle can be seen flying around. However, when the camera's light is turned off, it disappears, meaning it was simply a glare from the light itself. It's terrifying to imagine something becoming attached to you and following you back to your home. It's one of the risks when going on investigations, meaning it is not for the faint of heart. It also shows how there are more than just the physical dangers on these adventures, with even professional investigators such as Ghost Adventures suffering from severe states of paranormal oppression and even possession. It goes as a warning for those who decide to take up the cause for themselves. Take heed and be aware of what you are getting into, even if you are a skeptic or non-believer. Respect the locations you are visiting. Some videos are so terrifying that you may catch yourself holding your breath. A YouTuber named Roy Flores has a strange encounter over the skies of New Jersey when he sees a mysterious aircraft hovering near the overpass he's driving on.
Look, the whole street is stopped. There's a flying spaceship.
And he's not the only one who sees it. Dozens of other cars have pulled over and people are getting out to take video of this strange phenomenon with their cameras, each wondering if this is the moment we finally made contact. A Goodyear blimp is the official explanation for this scary event, but I have serious doubts. I mean, you'd think all these people would know the difference between a blimp, which we've all seen, and something truly bizarre instead. A lot of people are saying this is a cover story for this strange sighting in the sky. Well, I think this design looks way too creepy to be some kind of company blimp. Multiple instances of objects moving on their own has a YouTuber named Callum Tonner convinced that his Seattle house is haunted by a fearsome poltergeist. Lots of bizarre activity is frequently caught on camera, so I'm going to analyze the top 5 videos of best paranormal evidence. In the first weird video, he claims to find a coat hanger swinging back and forth in the closet. I will say that they could have pushed the object themselves before recording and then pretended it was a ghost. Normally I would say this video is fake, except this is far from the only scary event in which objects were caught on camera moving on their own, and the other videos are much harder to explain. Later that night, with the haunted closet behind him and its doors open, a completely different object is caught moving on camera on its own.
What was that?
Even if you were moving a magnetic object under the table, I still don't think it would be strong enough to move the other objects through the heavy wooden desk. He creates the paranormal experiment again 4 nights later, and if you weren't able to tell what the 2 objects are, it's a flashlight moving across a phone that's turned on. And here's the thing, any magnetic force strong enough to move an object that large should also cause damage to the phone, which it doesn't. The phone is fine, and therefore I think a ghost is moving the flashlight. 4 more nights later, the ghost has apparently taken to shuffling through his private card collection. And even more haunting, paranormal activity is caught on camera without any explanation. If you were thinking that he bent the cards or something to make them fall over, but not what's happening, you can see more of the cards in this video. They look perfectly straight and evenly balanced, so tell me how these sturdy objects are caught on tape moving. Paranormal activity is all I can think for these super creepy and mysterious events, but I'm open to any other explanation. A TikToker named Presley Belshare is making a video when her closet door opens from the inside. Coincidentally, it happens to be at the exact moment the male backup vocals kick in during the song, which unfortunately I don't think I can play in this video. Presley Belshare says that she did not plan this video at all. I probably believe her because when the door opens, it looks like a white flash of light comes from within the closet if you look close enough. Let me know if you think I'm way off base, or if you think you can see it too. These 2 videos were taken the same day in Zurich, the largest city in Switzerland. They show a mysterious light repeatedly glowing in a cloud above. The light turns on and shuts off over and over again. The light is seen again from another angle. This time it spreads across in multiple segments, and it appears to be pulsing differently. I tend to agree that they're concert lights, but if I didn't know any better, I think the Swiss are about to be abducted. This video is believed to have happened sometime in 2001. A person is walking around what looks like to be an old basement when they think they notice something on the floor.
What the hell's that? That on the floor. Right there. Oh!
The footage is too grainy to see, but I think he may have been looking at a shoe, or even the top of someone's head coming out from just behind the door. Suddenly, he looks up and sees some sort of white apparition glaring back at him with lifeless glowing eyes. I guess that it could just be someone who is dressed up, but there's something about his reaction that seems genuine. After this, you're surveying an abandoned room when you see this. Published by Oliver Fear in March of 2022, this scary video and image are trending in the Spanish-speaking YouTube community. It looks like this was once a classroom. All the desks and chairs are piled into a corner of the room. As the camera pans around in the darkness, it captures a bureau. There are books, papers, and magazines piled within each cupboard, except for this bottom one. What is that? In a half-open cupboard appears a young girl with long black hair, wearing a white dress. Her face looks skull-like, not human, maybe demon. The cameraman doesn't appear to see her in the moment. He continues to pan around toward the windows, and when he swings back, the cupboard is empty. What is this figure? And where did she go? She's probably behind you. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.